Evening, welcome to the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, our first meeting of the new year. I'm going to briefly run through the agenda tonight. At 7, we open with community input as per usual, followed by appointments. Then we're going to have a discussion of Select Board Fiscal 26 goals review, road maintenance plan discussion. 8:10, we're going to discuss shared services, followed by information on the Community Preservation Act funds. 9:10, we're going to do the Public Town Administrator evaluation, followed by an annual town meeting discussion in which we'll look to confirm the time and date for that meeting. 9:40, we're going to have the TA report, then review of warrants and minutes, cemetery deeds, liaison reports at 10, community input at 10:05, and then adjourn for the evening. So with that, I'd like to open it up to community input. We'll start with the room. If you just want to say your name and address and what you'd like to say.
Eric Ballas, 105 Knoll Farm Road. And I just want to say I've had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Isasaki shortly before the new year to discuss volunteer opportunities in Carlisle in general and a few specific opportunities in particular. And based on that conversation, I'd wish to offer my personal endorsement for his appointment to the Fire Station Building Renovation Committee. And since I'm up here, and like it says in your...
One comment per person.
It's, as stated in your packet, I'd also like to just confirm that the entire Environmental Sustainability Committee unanimously supports Keith Terrian's appointment to the DPW Building Renovation Committee as the ESC representative.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
That's it for this room. Does anyone online have any community comments they want to make? Go ahead, just say your name and...
Yes, John Ballantyne, 268 Fisk Street. And first, I'd like to thank all of you for all the work that you're doing, trying to balance budgets and deal with the world out there. And we all know who worked on town committees how challenging this is. The comment I have is regards the meeting that you had in December, and when you were sort of wrestling with the taxes and budgets and everything else. And what came up was the question about housing. And I guess stepping back and looking at the strategic plan and other things that we've been looking at, is that the sense was that there could be up to 300 more housing units in Carlisle over some period of time. And if you put that within the budget situation, if you had 100 more units in, let's say, 5 years, that gives you approximately $1.5 million of revenue, which allows you to sort of balance the budget issues and school and everything else. So that's, and obviously this is, has to go into a lot more detail to kind of go through that. So my suggestion, and this is something that to think about regarding your goals, is how do we come up with a sensible housing strategy and policy going forward? And that, the planning board has gone through the whole MBTA, the whole town has gone through that discussion. So we have a lot of information. The Housing Trust, that's one of its agendas, is how to help, create more diverse housing, some of it affordable housing. And so my suggestion is that as we go forward this year and over the next couple of years, how do we develop and encourage more sensible housing, maybe friendly 40Bs and everything else, so that we can get more housing that provides more revenues, which is the main source of revenue for the town. So that's a suggested for a goal. And obviously this is something that we, the Housing Trust, will coordinate through your liaison, and we'll be working with the planning board on this. So that's my thought. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any other comments from the community online? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to appointments. So let's start with the DPW Building Renovation Committee, and let's start specifically with the committee appointees. So I know the MFC has voted to nominate Travis to be on the DPW Building Committee, and the ESC has, as Eric just mentioned, nominated Keith Terrian to be on the DPW. So let's start with that, and then we have 3 volunteers currently for the at-large seat, and then I'd also like to see if we have an update. The other seats on the DPW were Board of Health and CONSCOM, and so We'll have a discussion about those remaining seats, but let's start with the Travis and Keith, if someone wants to make a motion on those.
I moved, are we voting Travis and Keith in?
Let's just do two separate motions, and we'll do it quickly.
Well, I vote Travis, I don't know about him, but I'll go on a limb.
Move to appoint, not
On a
vote.
limb.
To appoint, I'm appointing him, or I'm approving his appointment?
We're to appoint.
We're appointing.
Oh, okay. I approve.
Read the packet.
I appoint. I'm reading off the thing. I approve, I appoint, I move to appoint Travis Snell to the,
As the municipal.
as the municipal
facilities.
facility, oh, there's a thing here. As the municipal facilities committee representative to the DPW building renovation.
Is there a second for whatever that motion was? All right, any more discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's take a voice vote. And I should say we are all, I didn't say this at the outset, all the select board members are present, so we don't need to do a roll call. Let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Congratulations, Travis. And we have another appointment for Keith.
I'll let somebody else.
I move to appoint Keith Theron as the Environmental Sustainability Committee representative to the DPW Building Renovation Committee.
Second.
I
Okay.
can second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we will again do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So now the question is, do we know, and I don't know, Ryan, have we heard anything from Board of Health or CONSCOM? Because I know there was some initial discussion about whether they wanted to appoint someone to this committee, and we wanted a 5-person committee. Did we get any feedback, or are we still waiting to hear?
Still waiting.
Okay.
Conservation meets this week.
I'd really like to get someone on
Yeah.
those committees, on the board, on this committee.
Okay. So for now, we have 2 open spots, one reserved for CONSCOM appointee and one reserved for Board of Health appointee. And then we have 3 applicants in the packet for currently the at-large seat. And those are Tom Bellata, who's online, Mark Bernstein, who you know from FinCom and many other committees, and was it Andrew Ostrom, who is an abutter to the DPW. 3 excellent candidates. So I didn't know how we wanted to handle that. Does anyone have a particular perspective? Do we want to look at the actual committee? Because we had discussed making this a larger or smaller committee. I certainly welcome volunteers, but right now we only have 1 at-large seat.
You know,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I read through Andrew Ostrom's letter. I don't know him personally. I appreciate his position, but does that represent any sort of conflict of interest that his land is abutting? I mean, normally when we're in a butter, we recuse ourselves.
I think that's right. I would say that.
Is that, do we know? Is there-
Formally, I don't know.
Okay. And certainly familiar with Tom. He's been involved in the transfer station and the DPW and has a wealth of knowledge in terms of construction and all those elements. And Mark is well involved in town and expressed his interest very recently. I know Tom had expressed his interest earlier. So does anyone have a particular candidate they'd like to nominate?
Because we don't have a FinCom slot, or it's already
There's no
filled.
FinCom slot.
No FinCom slot, okay.
We have 2 of 5 have been appointed tonight. The 3
Okay.
remaining seats are, there's a CONSCOM seat,
Uh-huh,
a Board of Health seat.
okay,
And
and
an
then an
at-large.
at-large.
So we don't feel that we should have a FinCom seat?
I think it would be valuable, actually, or to
Do
have.
we have that on the fire station or anywhere else?
No.
Did we have it on the police station? No.
There was no FinCom seat on the police station.
It's not a bad idea, though, is it, to
Well,
start the
I'm
day?
just thinking if Mark, who's on FinCom,
Yep.
correct? Since he's volunteered.
Oh, he did volunteer?
Yeah, I think you and
It-
I are looking at the old packet.
So there,
but-
No, I have a new packet.
Oh, you do?
I'm not.
it's
I didn't
not in,
acknowledge
it's only in the OneDrive. It's not in the packet.
Oh, okay.
And he had sent an email over the weekend and then
So
submitted.
you're
It's in the
saying-
packet,
so-
it's put his
Yeah.
18
New
million.
packet.
Mark, Tom, and this abutter guy all put their name in the hat.
Yeah.
But we didn't create a formal, in the charter, we didn't create a formal FinCom slot.
correct.
So he'd be coming in as
At large. I mean, we could revise the charter and add FinCom, we could,
I mean, I think it's a larger question, but I think in future we should consider putting a FinCom rep on these major building committees. I think that's a good practice.
Yeah.
But we can only do what we have now. So, yeah, I would go with Mark. If he's a glutton for punishment, I guess he feels he's
Well,
rolling off the
yeah.
town committee. So.
I support having Mark on, but I think I would support amending the charter to include a FinCom seat, and then.
There's
and then
also
I
a
would
chance-
support,
There's also a chance,
Tom for the at-large.
and I think as we were discussing this, there was a question if, given all the building committees, if like Conscom or Board of Health may decline
Right.
putting someone on the
Then you
committee.
can put somebody else on this.
So we could put someone else on. We may have to revise the charter regardless.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
That makes sense.
So we could either add, if everyone appoints, great. I think the more the merrier, especially
Yeah.
at this phase. So I'm not opposed to going, the fire station committee is 7. This one was set up as 5 because we didn't think, we wanted to get it up and running.
Yes.
Fire station's fully staffed. I'm not opposed, unless Ryan, you have any other thoughts of ultimately making this a 7-person committee if we have adequate.
The
It
only,
just means you have to have 4 any given time is all.
the only fear was volunteerism. And
Yeah.
You seem to have it.
Yeah. So,
Well, should we hold off tonight then on any?
Well, why don't
other-
you, well, I would say we should put Mark on. Let's get going. And then we can add more later, right? Is there anything wrong with doing that?
yeah, I mean, I would also advocate for Tom, just given his interest in this and
But does that
having
already
having a
exceed our
true.
time?
What's that?
If we had both, do we get over the charter limit?
We don't have we don't have a spot for 2 at large right now, so we can't
Right, so
appoint
you
both.
can't appoint both right now.
As you said, we could amend the charter.
We could amend the charter. I don't
We
know
could
if
do it
we
right
can.
now.
I don't know if we
do it
can.
right now.
Can we do that within the agenda?
No, actually, no.
I don't think we
It's
can.
not posted that we would do that.
We could do that next week. We could find out, and we have to get this thing up and running, so we need the quorum. We can follow up with Conscom and Board of Health and get clarity on where that stands, and then at our next meeting, we can amend and make the remaining appointments. But do we want
So
to,
would
we should appoint
would
someone
we
tonight.
Appoint somebody
so you have
tonight
a
for the
quorum.
at-large seat, you're
Yeah,
saying?
and then we'd have a quorum, so you could start meeting.
Great.
So,
Well, I'd recommend Tom Bellata then. I would nominate Tom Bellata to fill the at-large seat, based on my assumption that we can amend the charter at a subsequent meeting for adding a FinCom rep, and then Mark could serve as that FinCom rep.
as opposed to the at-large rep.
Correct.
Yeah.
If we're gonna amend the charter, why don't we just amend the charter to say 3 at-large seats? Would Mark officially be representing
I think it's better
FinCom?
practice. I mean,
Or-
personally, I think it'd be a better practice to create a
It's official.
FinCom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and for the
As long as
fire
we're adding.
station, we have 4 at-large seats, so we kind of did that. On this one, it was a little,
I just think we ought to change our approach and always have a
I agree,
okay.
I agree.
Does
So-
FinCom feel like they would be stretched thin in that case?
Well, Mark volunteered.
Oh, I realize that, but not specifically as
Oh.
a representative of FinCom.
They may be. And that's what we're dealing with right now on Conscom and Board of Health with all these building committees too.
Yeah.
It's,
Everyone's stretched thin. A lot of
everyone's stretched
projects,
thin.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to have some flexibility. If, in this case, we know we can have a FinCom rep on there, so I think
Okay.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think the action item would be, we can vote on Tom, and then with regard to Mark's candidacy, we can amend the charter next week and have clarity around BOH and Conscom.
Just make
And
sure he
have-
then volunteers as.
And have
Yes.
FinCom, I think, because they're meeting,
They're meeting several times, but yeah, I'll talk
just
to
have
James,
them
sure.
make the formal.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian, is it possible to get clarity as to whether Andrew Ostrom's self-nomination would constitute any sort of conflict of interest?
Of course.
That would be good.
Yeah, but I mean, there's 2 things. Is there a legal thing? And the answer is probably not, but then
His
do you
appearance.
want somebody who, he may not have an agenda, but the fact that he is a butter leads one to believe there is an agenda, so. I want to know why he put a picture of his house on his application form.
That's just.
Well, he says
show you.
in the thing that he
Out
can
his
see it
window.
from his living. He said not only,
Demonstrating that he can see
Oh,
the
so he's
DPW
actually saying, I'm a
building.
butter, I want.
he says that in his
I
self.
think he's,
It's like, look,
No,
it's
okay.
I think he's kind of said it, and I don't think it's a good idea. in my
Okay.
opinion. I mean, he may be a great guy, I don't know him, but it's not a great start. You don't want that, because if he doesn't like something, then does he not like it because the way it might look from his window, or because it's a bad?
At the very least, I think he'd have to be recusing himself from pretty much every vote.
Right, which would make it not useful.
What's
so
the use? Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we should get that. We should get a read from council for the
Yes.
future, right? Yeah.
Yep, the butters, like for these building projects.
Right, yeah, right.
Did you
All
make a
right,
motion?
So I did.
Okay.
Do I need to?
Is there a second to the motion
Okay.
to
I'd
nominate?
second that.
Okay. Let's do a voice vote. Oh, any further deliberation?
No,
Voice
just
vote.
clarification, this is to
Tom Bellata
appoint
as the
Tom
at-large.
Bellata as the at-large member of
Right.
the DPW
Yep.
Building Committee.
Okay. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Tom.
Congratulations, Tom.
The work begins. And I will follow up with all the parties that we discussed and make sure that Mark is in the loop and FinCom's in the loop, and we'll reconvene on this at our next meeting and get this straightened out. But you have a quorum, so
Okay.
hopefully that can ramp up and get going. Ryan, you had a couple of notifications you wanted to provide. Are there any other, there's no other volunteer.
This Yakuzada guy, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes.
We discussed it, so I mentally thought we did it already. So
Yeah.
we heard from Eric. I spoke with him this afternoon. I had a good conversation with him. I reiterate everything Eric said. He's interested for all the right reasons, has some interesting experience, and I think would make a great addition to the committee. So if someone wants to make a motion.
I would-
All right, you go ahead.
Move to appoint Yutaka Ishigizaka as an at-large member of the Fire Station Building Renovation Committee.
Second? Okay, good. Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, and that one is now fully staffed.
Excellent.
All right, thank you for catching me on that. So Ryan, you had some notifications you wanted to provide?
Yes, I'm notifying you that I appointed Richard Anise of Carlisle to serve as our interim building commissioner. He is a qualified local inspector by Mass General Law. A local inspector can serve in a building commissioner role on a temporary basis, either to provide a gap in coverage, coverage gap, or to seek the building commissioner's license over a year. It's, according to Rich, he's looking just for this temporary position to help the town out. So he followed Scott Hammond, who followed John Mativier, the trader.
Can you
Ha-
quickly, and what's the difference between a building inspector and a building commissioner? Why is
The authority level, so the building commissioner can manage all of the inspecting staff and handle other issues like zoning, et cetera. A local inspector is just for building inspection. But they are similar, very similar.
But the commissioner doesn't inspect them, right?
They do. Commissioners can.
He's qualified to inspect.
He is.
Okay.
So I'm going to explore with Aubrey a couple regional opportunities that we've been looking at. And if those are not successful, and they're harder than you would think to find, then we're gonna advertise sometime in February for a full-time or a part-time commissioner.
Bye.
And then, they'll probably be in place before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So maybe we can get someone. And then the fire chief also appointed 2 firefighters, as noted in your packet.
Great,
Okay, great.
love to hear it. All right, with that, let's move on to the item number 3, which is Select Board Fiscal 26 Goals Reviews. Now, as a reminder, these were the fiscal 26 goals we set out in July of this year. We're now in the back 9, probably the back 8 of the year. And I wanted to just take a few minutes to quickly go over these and really look to set the priority for the agenda for the remainder of this year. Some of these items we've made really good progress on, some we haven't. And I think some we do already have planned on tonight's agenda and future agendas. So I thought I'd just step through that, and then if people want to chime in with their thoughts, that would be helpful. So I think with regard to the fire station renovation project and the DPW project, those are moving apace. We've made good progress, much progress to be made, but the committees are now up and running, so don't need to really talk about that one. I know
Let me just, so my read is fire station, it's gonna be a pretty good hike from now till the May meeting to get far enough into it to get bids right, that's, the path is clear,
Yeah,
but the timing is not. It may roll to fall if you can't get it done, right?
We had a meeting today, it's a coin flip
Yeah.
that we make
Okay.
town meeting,
And
but
it doesn't mean it's not, it's a good goal, and we
Yeah,
should try.
it's
but
a
we may not make
it remains aggressive,
Right.
potentially
I'm not
achievable.
clear on DPW, is it also to get that far, or is it just to get to
Get the design funding.
which is like what we already did with fire station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems more realistic? Is that realistic at this point? Probably.
Yeah.
we're ready for town meeting vote.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's for
okay.
special town meeting, we're saying.
Oh,
Well, no, the first
no,
one is
no,
the.
Oh,
actually, yeah, special
Is it-
town meeting, maybe
Is-
2026, it might, maybe. If
For
we
the
can,
actual
if then over the summer they
project
can
funding,
get.
but the
right.
design,
Okay, that's
the
fair.
money for the schematic
So I- right,
design
okay,
is,
so we're-
is,
I think we need to work with FinCom, or we, the select
Yeah.
board, need to figure out
Right.
timing of this.
Yeah.
If you want it to
Yeah.
go to the fall, or you want it to go to the spring.
Okay, okay, so that, I did, and you didn't touch Boghouse yet, right? You
No,
were-
and I think the difference in the DPW, the one thing that does need to happen is the designer, potentially the designer selection would be a goal to have.
You don't need a
For
vote
the
to do that.
DPW.
The committee can just pick somebody?
Well, we need to pick a designer for the.
No, who's a we?
Well,
The
the
committee
the
probably.
committee.
Yeah, without, they don't need us voting.
No, but that's that's a work element that needs to be done
Right,
before.
okay, right. Well, Travis, get going. You're just a- What are you waiting for? Okay.
So on to the Bog House. I know there's work in progress. There was an update in your TA report about this. Is there anything from a select board standpoint we need to be doing more of or less of? I'm assuming we'll just have this slotted into the agenda as the project continues.
There'll be a lot of moving pieces here as we go out to bid for someone to complete this project. The Article 97 question is still there. There will be a lot of items coming that the select board will need to support. We're assuming that you want to move this forward if there's no change.
We
in
kind of said we did
Yeah.
at the last
Yeah.
meeting, but
yeah.
the sequence wasn't clear. Is it the first thing 97? What comes first?
We're moving it all at once.
Yeah. And I will say that the Housing Trust plans to put in a request for CPA funds that would be presented
Yeah,
at
so I wanted
the
to talk
May
about that when
town
we
meeting.
come to the
When we
CPA
get to
portion of
CPA,
tonight
okay.
to understand where that fits.
Yep.
Okay.
But that is the intent of the CAT, and it's still unclear to me how that sequences out and whether we engage I'm told, the third-party funder. The pieces are not real clear. John is signed off now, but we're gonna meet on Thursday, so I'm gonna maybe try to get a little more clarity on process, as I'm not clear on timetable. So I wouldn't think it will make spring 26.
It will not.
Right, so
The town meeting for 20?
they won't be ready.
What
I
do you
don't know
mean?
what-
Oh, you mean documents for?
Well, securing approval, I don't know what that means, but I don't know that there'll
Well,
be a
but-
thing in time.
Yeah, I mean,
in time for this spring.
the CPA application, assuming it comes in, will to some degree be a vote by the town about whether or not they support going forward with this, you know.
But I don't know what the
basic
ask
idea.
is, quite
For
frankly.
the CPA?
No, well, maybe, I guess, but, yeah, maybe with the CPA, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, so
Yeah.
let me take, since I'm
Okay.
asking the questions, and I'm on that committee, so I should know. On the meeting on Thursday, I will
Okay, good.
volunteer to try to get some answers.
That's gonna be
Okay.
And it's too bad John signed off, but, because, it would be useful for him to have heard that. Okay.
So Highland Building, update on that, the school committee will be deliberating the Highland Building tomorrow night and taking a vote of a recommendation to the select board at their following meeting. I'm not aware of any purposes that they've identified, but, and I've talked to someone on the committee that's been kind of sharing that, but I'll do a debrief at our next liaison
I mean,
reports about.
do
what
they
they
have
dis-
some choice ABC, or they have no choices, they're just?
They're gonna be discussing it tomorrow night, and I'll give you a readout at our next liaison report.
All right.
But, yeah, I just don't even, I don't wanna speculate, but they're discussing it tomorrow, and our
There's nothing
next,
public, there's nothing been made public, like
no,
a gym or
Nope.
artist space or?
nope. But I wanna let them deliberate and have that
Yeah.
deliberation
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that makes sense, okay.
So I will, they'll, either as the liaison report or as a very brief agenda item, that will be on our next meeting. Because while they won't have voted, they'll have kind of taken their position. And then
Right,
we can
okay.
decide how we want to proceed.
Okay.
Benfield, so this has been something that we have not addressed in the first half, and we do need to address. So what we're looking to do is schedule a tour there for the select board. We're reaching out to Benfield, I'm sorry, what was her name? Was it
Maureen
Maureen,
Cosgrove?
Maureen and the property manager.
Maureen's
No,
on too.
What?
Mal is the
No.
Yeah.
manager of the project.
So we're looking to get some times where we can go out there, and for us to meet with them, tour the facility, and then I think the follow-on would be to have kind of the summit where we bring people together and discuss some of the issues.
Yeah, I mean, I like what I read here. Didn't recall that we said this, but I like it. Like, if we should really have Simon and Noah, like, it should be serious.
So this is on our kind of priority list for the back half in our planning meetings.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be coming to this.
No. They
No, the
wouldn't
first
be-
meeting,
The
I
first
thought
one is
we,
our tour.
We'll have a tour so we
Yeah.
get familiar,
So
but
we
then,
can- and
yeah,
then we-
sitting
then-
down with them,
Yeah.
assuming, that would be a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing.
So
Um,
I'll follow up with an email with potential times and dates that we can
Okay.
work with.
Now, are we also thinking this tour could include a 15-minute or 20-minute time with anybody in the building that wants
Yeah,
to come
we can
to
have like a little panel, yeah.
input
Why don't
session?
you just have a
Yeah.
coffee hour or whatever?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll work out the specifics,
think
but the
that'd be
idea
good.
is,
Posted as a meeting and.
it'll be posted as a meeting, I'm sure
Yeah.
the mosquito will be there, and then we'll work with them to figure out what the
a good
itinerary
idea.
is.
Yeah,
So,
great.
but it'll be a facility tour, we can hear from the residents, we can hear from the property manager, and just
Yeah.
get a lay of the landscape.
Good, great.
Okay.
Good.
CPA? Okay. CPA, we're gonna be discussing this later tonight, and so let's hold off on that one. MBTA communities,
Did it? Ding.
do we need to discuss that one?
No,
Check the
please no,
box.
please no.
We are gonna circle back to trust funds, and we're gonna be having our planning meeting tomorrow, and I
Is that you? You're-
mentally said, if you're ready, we can probably allocate time on our next agenda, but let me know what your timing looks like. But we can certainly get you into one of the next
Yeah, we got off
agendas
to,
based on where you're at, or when you want to bring this back to the select board for any discussion.
maybe not the next one, but the one after that.
Okay, perfect. So that,
We're hot on the trail, we've got our committee, we've had a couple meetings, the holidays kind of slowed us down, but
no worries.
back to it.
But we have space for this, and so we'll address this. It sounds like we'll, at this point, plan for the meeting after next to have an agenda item on that. Volunteer support. So this is about I know we're doing new volunteer training, and we're putting new processes in place. From your standpoint, Ryan, are we making progress on this? Is there more the select board should be doing on this one at this point?
No, we have the annual training for our volunteers. We have the information that they get when they become a new volunteer. A lot of people in town volunteer for multiple things, so it's
Yep.
not that big a lift. It's really just codifying the process and making sure that we have it scheduled.
Which is
no
an
matter-
Aubrey, basically an Aubrey thing, right?
It's now a Gretchen function.
I would,
The executive
I
is-
want to raise my hand and say, maybe after you get that piece done, there should be a chair's handbook. There's a lot to being a chair. We've learned with LSC, and I learned the hard way, and I've done it for 20 years, and I
For the
still
town-
learned the hard way.
The annual
On
town meeting group.
yeah, about
Yeah.
all this rigmarole. Even as recently as this weekend, I spent time trying to dig out old minute meetings that
Oh, it's
Melissa couldn't find, and I thought, I gave them all to Alana, and then I'm like, well, no, I didn't, actually. So, I mean, there's a lot to it, and I
There's a lot
really
to it.
think chairs need special training, especially the ones that aren't supported by a Gretchen.
yeah.
Right.
That's going to be a thick handbook.
It doesn't have to be thick, but, you know, it's important.
We're developing a whole video based on David's experience.
Yeah, there
Hi,
you
I'm
go.
David Modell.
There you go.
We'll do an info video. And Ryan, the create a code of conduct, I know we had talked about that via the policies, and I don't remember where we landed on, because we talked about having the code of conduct for volunteers. We have one for the staff, and we've been working through those policies. Did we include volunteers in those policies, or do we need to carve that out?
Chicken soup?
So volunteers do fall under the employee handbook.
Yeah, okay.
But most towns have or some towns that want to do this have a code of conduct policy.
Okay.
that
We do
has-
not.
No.
Concord,
So-
that's a pretty good one.
So that might be an action item for the back half of this year, is to do that piece of it. Would that be working with Aubrey, or would that be?
That
is
would
this-
be Gretchen.
That would be Gretchen, so it's not a,
So she would likely assemble from our cohort a group of policies for you to look at and/or recommend one.
so maybe because I know we're meeting with Aubrey on our personnel policies, maybe once we clear those, we can look at the code of conduct for volunteers. I think the personnel policies are a priority. We want to make time for those, and then we can move on to this.
The regional school committee has a decent one.
Okay. Shared services, we're going to discuss tonight. Have a first discussion on that. So we can talk about that more later. Long-term building capital planning. And that was really looking out over a longer term, the 20-year horizon, trying to get a read on some of the bigger capital items that are looming. Is there anything we should be doing in the short? I know we're going into a budget cycle and we have capital planning in process. With regard to this goal,
I would consider it complete, and we
Okay.
presented the financials that are guiding these large projects
okay.
in the financial forecast and capital planning, so. And that'll be an annual thing, so I feel like we've accomplished this goal.
Develop a combined road, pathway, culvert, 5-year management plan. We're going to hear about the road maintenance plan. We've been talking about culverts, and we'll be discussing that. So I think we've been tackling that, and we'll continue to tackle that through the budget process. Transparency and communication, promote transparency, communication, and collaboration. That continues to be a work in progress. I think we'll be talking about that more at our next meeting. And some process issues that have arisen that we want to make sure we discuss and define the best path going forward. So there'll be more on that.
Quick question, sorry, on the first one under connectivity. Have we been able to pursue any grants for the, the road pathway culvert remediation? I saw that the state is going to pay for the
Bedford Road.
225
Yep.
repair. But any other opportunities or pursuit of grants?
So we received 2 grants through the safety committee's work for the Connected Carlisle sidewalk project
Yeah,
that came
yeah.
before you. It's a $500,000 complete streets grant and a $99,000 shared spaces grant. I applied for a LEAP design grant, which we did not get, but then the state opened up more design money for complete streets, so I applied for that as well, and we'll know in the next month or so.
Good.
So that project is funded. We've been starting to talk about whether or not to go for culverts or pathways with a strap grant, and people in the community have different views on that. I've been recommending the culvert side, but there is a large contingent of residents in town that want to talk about pathway extensions, especially towards Concord and Westford, as you remember. And then for other grants, we're looking at MVP action grants and other climate resiliency grants for culvert repair. The culvert grants that come out are not good for Carlisle. They're much more small bridge grants, if you think of it that way. So we don't want to turn one of our smaller culverts into a bridge, because it would go from 250 to $1 million. Even though they are ecologically sound and they're not necessarily the right product for us. So we are applying to as many as we can to try to carve into I think you'll see a lot of it in the next year or two. At least come out of the capital plan. It's not going to save us, but it's going to help us.
Yeah, good.
And is the Bedford one, is that, how much, what's the amount of that? Is that cover the cost of those Bedford projects that are in the road maintenance plan we'll be
Yes.
discussing? So that's
I want
almost
to take.
$500,000?
I so want to take credit for that, but it just showed up in my inbox. This is
Well, and you get to take
amazing.
credit, it's your inbox.
I've never had that happen. So it was 2 miles of road from the Bedford line to East Street.
That's $500,000 if I looked at that correctly,
Yeah.
which is.
And the bridge they paid for, right? The bridge are.
The bridge they are paying for. Yeah, that's not us.
Did they say why?
But they're paying
Don't
for the
ask.
repaving, or,
We just came up on there is, and I've researched this too, but a larger capital plan for the state that our numbered road was on, and we got moved up. So
$500,000.
it's nice. So it was something that Jim was targeting, and it just kind of lightning strike. So we're pretty happy about that. So well, thanks, Simon, and
Yeah,
Senator
sure.
Barrett.
If Simon did it, yeah.
So good, we just found 500,000 we don't have to spend.
20 of our 2029 or 2029 plan, is it?
Right.
2029, yeah.
Part of the
But that-
long-term
but it-
planning is so that we can try to attack future stuff with grants too, so. we
Yeah,
are
I
doing
mean, but that's significant. Um, Conservation land management. We're gonna discuss that more, at our next meeting. We're gonna, in our planning meeting tomorrow. We're looking at doing a joint meeting between the Select Board, ConsCom, and the LSC
Okay.
to get everyone in the room to discuss some of the concerns, questions, recommendations that various stakeholders have. Well, I haven't reached out to them to schedule it yet, but we will be discussing it at our next Select Board meeting.
Great.
Based on your goals, we organize staff, we've told you this before, but it fits in here, I'd like you to see how it fits in. The sustainability coordinator is now working with conservation on this long-term land management future. So it's not only a board and committee effort, but it's staffed. So we do think we'll make a lot of progress. So the goal is for that plan to be developed about 5 years out, and for all the committee and volunteer work to meet up with it, with their input, so that we can continue to work on today and the future.
Good.
There was no change in budget to that, it was just a restructuring of staff.
And we've been working on the MVP action grants, and that's proceeding.
So that report is final, it
Yep.
just went final, and now the working group or committee is working on the action grant.
Okay.
So that's happening, and it's more of a planning board function than yours, so,
And they're appropriately prioritizing it?
yeah.
Okay, good.
And you'll take credit in your goals, but it's really them.
Unless it's in your inbox, then you'll take credit. And then the climate leader grants, I know work is being done there. We had a meeting, a couple months ago to talk about the various opportunities there, and I know that there's a plan in place to secure those grants and
And-
support the projects that we have in our capital plan.
MFC invested a lot of design money that we're working out to apply for an accelerator grant this spring. That would be up to $1 million for Grant Robbins HVAC systems. And then we are working on a design grant for Town Hall for the roof and RTU. And then that would lead to whatever's left in climate leader money plus some ask for town meeting when that project's ready, probably next year.
And just to note, I mean, the obvious is, wasn't it last fall? We were one of the first
Yeah.
towns to get the designation, be approved as a climate leader, so.
Yep,
we
we
should
were in the,
just Make sure that. that's
we were in the
important.
first group,
Yeah.
and we
so
would have been
that was a
sooner if they
big
had more,
accomplishment.
we would have been
That was a
earlier.
goal last year, and we accomplished it.
Yeah,
Thanks to the hard work of the team.
Sarah, Eric.
and-
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Eric.
the-
Like,
Totally.
But yeah, so in terms of the goals we identified in the summer, I think we've addressed many of them. We have work to do on those. We have plans to address the ones we haven't spent time on. And so I feel pretty good about that. Obviously, new things come up. And I know, we heard from John today about housing, and that is an issue that's kind of grown out of the municipal,
yeah.
or my brain's not working tonight, the MBTA
Yeah.
communities law. I don't know that we need to amend our goals tonight, but I think we should
No,
keep
I
an
think
eye
the
on
goals
those
are,
things.
I think it's going very well. Better than most years, I'd say. We're pretty far along, but I mean, my cautionary note is that, two notes, I guess. One is, very soon we get caught up in the run-up to town meeting.
Yep,
Town meeting's a sponge, right? It
Yep.
takes up a lot of emotion, mental energy and meeting time.
8
So we-
meetings to town
Yeah,
meeting,
right, so just.
From now?
Yeah,
technically, yeah.
right. So exactly, you have to be judicious with
Yes.
which of these you pursue.
Yeah.
The second thing, which I talked to Ryan about in our evaluation, is a lot of select board experience is walking out the door. Not to say that it's not replaceable, but
Right.
you're gonna have 2 new members, brand-new members. You've got a freshman here,
Mhm.
right?
A sophomore.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of work to be done in the summer when you have your next planning session,
Yep.
to really educate them and make them get those people thinking about what, is accomplished. So it's kind of on you two guys, basically, but,
And Christine.
well, Christine, yeah, she's been through one cycle, but I'm saying,
I've been through
Listen
2
to him.
cycles.
I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Grizzled old veteran.
I'm just letting you know. So, anyway, but it's good job on the.
Thanks. Okay, so I think that's helpful. I think we're gonna, in our planning meetings, we are looking at this and we are cognizant of the things we need to make time for going forward, and we will do that. And it is a robust agenda, and with the budget, it will be even more busy going forward. But with that, why don't we, it's 7:41, so let's move on to the road maintenance plan discussion. And in that, there are 2 elements. There's one, Ryan's overview of the road maintenance plan, and then there's also the Audubon Lane study that we want to discuss tonight. So Ryan, do you want to start with the high-level plan, or how do you want to attack this? in
Yeah,
terms
I'm
of-
gonna go through the plan at a very high level, leaving time for the Audubon Lane discussion.
And the goal tonight is to really just give us a brief on, we've seen this plan. What do you want from us
Road
tonight?
maintenance,
Is this
right?
the road maintenance plan? Is it just a,
There's two goals. I would like you to see the current funding levels. It's gonna be important for the discussions during capital. The FinCom's already talking about recommending bringing down the level of funding for this because there's just not enough funding.
right,
Second thing is there's a lot of these pop-up requests that are very important. Audubon Lane is one of them.
yep,
The Complete Streets project is another that are gonna eat into these reserves unless you fund them properly. So
Right.
the overview allows you to then prioritize the asks that are before you.
okay.
So I
I
will,
think you have someone here too online.
yeah, so Mark is gonna follow me. I'm gonna give you that high level. And then he's here from Niche in order to talk about the Audubon Lane study and answer your questions.
Appreciate that.
So Mark, if you'll give me 1 minute. Okay, so this is in your packet. The idea here is that each paving year, so I know we normally go by fiscal years, but this is paving years, so we're going into 26. This is all built out of a Chapter 90 budget. So Chapter 90 is authorized by town meeting, comes to us from the state, and is functionally its own financial category.
So is paving year 26 the summer of 25 through May, or what is it?
It'd be this summer, 26.
It's coming up summer,
Yes,
which
this
is our fiscal 27.
It's fiscal 26 and 27, but we call it paving year
So
26.
it's the season basically from, I don't know, late spring to late fall or something.
Yeah, and it's fine because Chapter 90 falls outside of the fiscal
Okay.
cycle. So what this shows you is the paving, everything in white is from the niche paving plan and prioritization, which we paid for and agreed was a great thing for the town. Yellow is what Jim thinks is a priority, fit into proper paving categories and priority.
Right.
Can I ask just a general question on that? If it's yellow, is it also white? Do you know what I mean? Like, are these items that weren't
Oh, he
part of
added
Niche's?
those things, right?
These aren't part of Niche's recommendation, but, and it's, from
Oh, these
Jim's
added them.
standpoint, these are at the same level of need, okay.
But remind me, so the PCI, the higher the PCI, the better shape the road is in?
Yes.
But the alternative dimension of the rack and stack is frequency of use, right? So you can have let's say a lower, in this case, looks like a lower PCI, but it didn't make the niche list presumably because it's not as heavily trafficked.
Correct. In prioritization, doesn't mean it doesn't need to be paved. And also, when recommending bundles of paving,
Yeah.
you could have something over here that's a 41, and we're recommending a 71. It's because of the mobilization costs and the efficiencies that are gained by a project.
Right, but
Try to
but
find
that's
the-
not clear from the cost. It looks like the two that Jim picked are the most expensive things on the menu.
Yeah,
Correct.
they are.
So
What's
In
his
part
just?
because he drives it and he sees how beaten up they are.
I know, but it's
Yeah.
expensive, so what's his rationale? Or maybe what's Niche's response to his proposal?
these are all categorized as roads that need to be repaired by niche. It's just, they had to recommend at our funding level what.
Right.
Well, I mean, we'd like to repair all the roads, but the point is, money is not, so were these in some later year at the time?
Yes.
Like, what was the year they were in?
I mean, were they in a recommended plan? No, the plan from niche was only a 5-year plan, and then they gave us the backlog of
Okay.
roads we need to
I
do.
mean, maybe the niche guy can talk, but
He didn't
okay.
do this plan, so.
you got $400,000 of road, you got half your road budget. in the two things that Jim says that Mitch doesn't say.
Correct.
So it's legitimate to challenge that.
Or prioritize it, like,
So
Yeah.
this, adding
Because
these,
they are lower ranked, so they need to
adding
be
these was how to get to,
Yep.
to get to $800,000 worth of funding, which was Nich's recommendation.
right.
And then the peach color, or orange, or whatever, I'm a little color deficient. That color is
Fuchsia.
what we're calling parity roads, also prioritized by Jim and I. These are the roads that have come up consistently in your feedback sessions as a need
From the community.
from the community. The bottom boxes show you that year as it relates to the total road maintenance budget. So on the left, you have costs, the paving total from the plan that's outlined above, plus contingency for an annual cost. As you can see, this robust plan for '26 is too high. We would have to do alternates and cut it down.
Because that includes the yellow and
Correct.
fuchsia from above, okay.
Yes, fuchsia.
Right.
And then the revenue is what we project for Chapter 90. I will say, based on the last couple of years, that is a conservative estimate, so we hope that it comes in higher.
Right.
Town meeting is if you approve that level of funding, the 800,000 minus the Chapter 90 expectation, and then the reserves come
This
from.
is to be approved in the spring.
Yes.
Right.
Part of the capital plan.
Right. And so, but in the larger context of the capital plan and the trade-offs that have to be made, is it possible that I mean, certainly it sounds like we want to get under 900 anyway, right? For starters, we want to get
Yeah.
under 900, and then do we want to get back down to 800?
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get into that in the budget process.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is gonna be a natural area where we have to,
There's savings to be had, right?
well, not savings, but deferments.
Well, deferral. I
Deferring
mean,
it,
I
yeah.
don't quite understand a parity road that's a 67, quite honestly, or any 67, but, or 74 or 70, I don't know. Maybe we have to lower the cut.
And we're not trying to do that tonight.
No,
but
I know,
it's
I know.
That's gonna be, as we look at the budget and the FinCom goes through it and
Yeah.
capital, like, one of the things that is discussed is where can we give?
Defer,
And
yeah.
between roads and culverts,
Right. There's
you have to
some-
balance
some
that and give them some
areas. Okay.
direction.
There's a question, so you have reserves of 100,000 for the revenue, but then the next year it's negative 47. So you're saying you've basically used your whole reserve above and beyond. So we have a reserve right now of 53,000, because you end up with negative 47 the following year.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So we know this is a stretch plan.
Yep.
So
Okay.
We would have to work on it.
Yep.
Also, sometimes when you bid, for roads in particular, it does come in lower. These are conservative estimates.
Okay.
Because they want the job and it's competitive. All right, for '27, it's the same exercise, white, yellow, fuchsia?
I don't know why are people joking when they say fuchsia? This is
Well,
fuchsia.
It's really
Is that the
peach.
completely
Like,
wrong?
Peach, I think it's a
Peach.
little more peachy, yeah.
You don't want to call it pink, you
Okay,
can call it peach.
You'll see that if we continue to
Salmon.
stretch ourselves, you have the same reserve
Yeah.
problem. We
Yeah.
hope that gets filled by additional funding from the
But
state.
you are rolling forward to whoever Travis said. You rolled forward the deficit into the following.
Yeah.
And then, this is the first time maintenance crack seal shows up. You don't think you need it next year?
I do, I think we need it every year.
So shouldn't it also go in the prior slide?
It should, but it would bump out what we think are priority roads and parity roads.
So what? You need it, right?
Yes.
That's a discussion we're gonna have to have, though.
Well, I mean, I think, in my opinion, you should put it in. If you think you need it, put it in, because otherwise you might make a suboptimal decision on the year, and then, oh gee, we forgot about crack repair.
If this is all the funding you're gonna give us, then we would not put it in '26.
You wouldn't do it, you'd defer it.
We would continue to attack the backlog.
Okay.
And just to be clear, these dollar figures in 27 have been adjusted?
No.
No.
Adjusted for what?
Inflation.
If not.
They probably should be, that's a good point.
We also didn't increase the state funding level, so I do think that'll wash, but you just gotta trust me on that. Maybe you don't. For '28, this is in green, new color, just wanna show you the new color.
You like green,
That's the state project that's
we can
coming
agree on
up.
that.
So anything that we didn't do in '26, '27, we would move to the '28 year now that there is a big funding hole.
So you're saying the state would pick up the green?
No, the state
No.
is picking up the green.
They're doing that now, where,
Oh,
so.
Bedford
it
Road,
was
yeah,
scheduled in
right.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, it doesn't even belong there.
Can't we just make 28, 26 and
matter.
call it a day?
That's what I said earlier.
So you have no,
Um,
no, white color roads, or the niche plan just didn't go out that far?
Bedford was the white roads, but it's been picked up by the state.
Okay, all right, so there's a savings. So you could kick some of these other projects down the road, so
Yeah.
to speak. And then, yeah, right, okay. Got it.
Okay,
Great.
29 and 30, we think they're pretty far out, but you'll see we start to do a little bit less maintenance because we focused on the front end, like buildings and other capital projects here in town. And it's 5 years out, so we still need to reprioritize things, but the reserves start to come back at that point at an $800,000 spending level.
So the question I would have as we go into the budget process is, which of these roads scheduled for 26? Obviously, you want to get them paved and all that, but which can you push out a year and not incur a larger cost next year?
You're always gonna incur larger
It's-
costs.
But I mean, in terms of the nature of the project, because it goes from milling and paving to reclaim and paving or something like that. Like, are there any of those that really need to be done next year from a cost standpoint? Because if you kick them another year, you're
Well, the
gonna,
ones that say level or mill, I guess, is that's what that's saying.
Yeah.
Hard to know.
The,
They don't deteriorate linearly.
Yep.
Question for the consultant.
and maybe we don't know, and it just doesn't, there's not that distinction, and we just make our best
Right.
estimates.
well, that very first line item in 26, Heald Road, it's rated as a 51, which, relatively low. And the estimated cost is almost exactly the same amount as the overage. So, I mean, theoretically, that could be a candidate for bumping down to 27.
Right.
If you asked us to recommend, we would take the parity roads off.
Oh,
Which
okay.
is why they're parity roads.
I see.
Because every year there's to cut, we're gonna cut those.
I
Okay.
think
But,
that's,
but I think we need to see where the budget comes out. We might say, we need to cut, we're not gonna use any town money, and we're
Right.
gonna get down to
Yeah.
just the chapter 90.
yeah, I mean,
So-
you can't, right, I mean, those are the traits, I agree with you completely. If you're gonna build buildings,
You
can't do
can't do it all, you
everything.
can't do everything at
Can't
once.
do everything.
Yeah.
I just came, last few times, I've had, for personal reason, I won't say why, but I have to be in Lincoln, and they got some really crappy roads. I gotta say, and they ain't doing this. And they're like us, they're a little town.
Take some video when you're down there, bring it back, so we can show everybody. But I mean, so I think, from my standpoint, that's the plan, and then as we get to the budget process, we're gonna have to prioritize for 26. I don't envision it, we're certainly not gonna do all of this, so there's gonna be some kind of prioritization that has to happen.
Yes.
And having the Bedford, having that 28-year open really helps.
Huge, yeah.
When is our timing to make the decision of which roads get? Because ultimately, the select board makes that decision, right?
Yeah, so it's good to bid them in April, so right before town meeting. But we'll bid them in a way.
You'll know the budget.
We'll know the
We'll
budget.
set the budget, so we'll know.
We'll know what,
Yeah.
but then I'm saying the rubber meets the road, don't pun intended.
Ah,
When we,
he's getting good.
when we, I know, if we don't hit these speed bumps, they'll,
So Mark, so what we wanted to show you is, that's the plan.
Yeah.
It can be changed, obviously, but anything that's added to the plan takes away something from that plan.
Right.
And this plan does not do enough to address what was recommended to address. So it's
Yeah.
already a compromise, and it's gonna be even more compromise as
but
you go on.
in April, we'll decide which roads fall this upcoming year to bid for the spring.
Yep.
If you don't want to approve this plan, then we can wait to publish it until then.
I think it's a twofold thing. In the budget process, which is well before April,
Yeah.
the magnitude of the spend on roads
Yeah, has to be
will be
decided.
decided, and in that will be kind of, not final picking, but more or less picking, right? Because you have to know what you're gonna cut out. And then I guess it's a matter of finalizing the package for quoting. I mean, you wouldn't do it in a vacuum. You can't just say arbitrarily, I'm gonna cut out 100K. You'd have to look and say, well, this much can come out.
As you started the conversation, David, you said, well, geez, Jim's added these things, and we are gonna have to decide, are we going to go with you know, a recommendation of Jim Hall and, you know, and take something else out.
Yeah.
We'll just have to do that. I was asking,
Right.
when is that happening? Because that's something that people care about, I think, or I care about.
I
but
think
it's-
the preliminary, like I say, is probably February or March, right, when we're doing budget cutting. Because that's what I'm trying to say. You can't just arbitrarily say, okay, cut out 100. You got to think about what can be cut out, because it's a choice. So you're already kind of making the choice, even if you're not absolutely finalizing and saying, you know, sorry, Autumn Lane, you got to wait till next year.
So just to remind, so we do this public outreach in the summer and the early fall.
Right.
That's what this plan was the result of that.
Right.
So it would be regressive to not approve 26 now. You'd basically be redoing the process you did in the fall, which we can move it to this time if you want, but we didn't because of the budget and town meeting dominance. So we do this off-cycle, create the expectation for the coming year. And then when we did try to go road by road with you, with all respect, you lost your minds, because it's hard to weigh this road and that road. So the expertise of the plan was what swayed you,
Hold your
Jim. and-
Right, but
Well, so couldn't we, let me back up a second. So you're saying we should approve what we talked about doing last fall? The plan that developed out of the community input we had last fall?
Yeah.
But now we know that there's a pretty good likelihood that we're gonna cut out some of the revenue that would have been applied to this plan. So don't we have to know what that difference, how much we're gonna cut out? And then I'm comfortable saying to Nitch and DPW and you, okay, you gotta figure out a way to cut X amount out of it. We'll trust your judgment on it. You know far better than we do, but doesn't that have to happen before we can approve this?
You tell us what the funding level, we'll tell you what goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think there's a need to push that ahead then, but, you know.
Yeah, we
not
have to
wait
see-
till
we're all
April.
saying, no, we don't
Well,
wait till April, that's exactly
no.
right. It's in the budget season that we do exactly what you said.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking maybe
Yeah.
this has to be done in February
Yeah, when you're
to
doing.
determine the
Yeah, I'll-
amount that needs to be cut.
Right.
I'll
so
check in, I'll
Yeah.
get synced up on FinCom, and once we know, like,
that- Okay,
they know most of the information at this point, and you're getting into the budget marathon, so,
Well, I mean, we know from, and it was in the minutes from last, which, by the way, Gretchen did an excellent job, the minutes reporting on the meeting we had with FinCom. It's kind of in there, right? Like, hey, we've got an operating budget increase of 6% or whatever, we gotta get,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So this is part of it, you can't disaggregate them.
right.
okay.
Okay.
So Mark's here from Nitch to talk about Audubon Lane.
Yeah,
Alright.
so we're gonna move on to Audubon Lane.
Yep, great.
Mark is here, we have the report in the packet. If you-
Yep.
Yep. And also, Karen is here. Hi, Karen,
Hi.
from Audubon Lane.
Yep.
And she has the report, and has had a chance to review that as well. So do you want to turn it over to Mark? Okay, go ahead, Mark. If you could just state your name and who you're with.
Sure. My name is Mark Gabriel. I'm a senior project manager with Niche Engineering. And just confirming everybody can hear me okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great. All right. So, yes, you have the packet. And we were asked to review the existing drainage pattern at the intersection of Concord Street and Audubon Lane. This was brought on because we were hearing that 7 Audubon Lane had some reoccurring flooding and erosion issues that the homeowner brought up. It's happened over the past several years. So we went out to the site to do an investigation. This included a site visit, documented with a lot of pictures. We met with the homeowner and the Department of Public Works superintendent. After we got to interview those people and also take a walk around and look at some publicly available data online, the study brought us to the conclusion that the northwest corner of that property of 7 Audubon Lane, it acts as a natural low point in that area, and that it's receiving runoff from both from the Concord Street area and some of those adjacent private properties that are there. We went through the study, gave a lot of information on it, happy to answer any questions on the study. We did provide recommendations for disconnecting the runoff from Concord Street to Audubon Lane within the public right-of-way to help redirect stormwater flow towards the north, which ends up heading down towards Buttrick Pond. We provided some recommendations on installing some asphalt curbing and raising the entrance to Audubon Lane, the grade there slightly, and potentially, a last resort of installing an inlet at that intersection. We also took a look at the existing culvert that was just south of the property that also discharges at the south side of the property. And we recommended some maintenance activities on that culvert and reviewing the existing swale that the culvert discharges to just south of the property. So these recommendations were all in the report, and if those recommendations are put in place, some regular maintenance, we'd expect that would help mitigate the stormwater runoff that flows from Concord Street onto Audubon Lane in that area. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I had a question in your recommendations. Sorry, I'm just struggling with PDFs here. There were two recommendations, as you mentioned. One was the curbing. Were the two recommendations separate recommendations or nesting recommendations? Meaning there was the Concord Street curb, that option, is that kind of a first attack at fixing the issue?
They're not nested.
Okay.
So one recommendation would be they reside on their own. So
Okay.
the first recommendation, installing a concrete curb and redirecting the flow north towards heading north towards Buttrick Pond, would be just one recommendation in and of itself. If one didn't want to let that sheet flow continue down to Buttrick Pond, then the second recommendation would be put in place, which would be capture that stormwater, direct it to a pipe, and send it to an existing inlet nearby.
Well, I think you also mentioned that some additional study would be needed to make sure if we proceeded with that option, we're not flooding people down the hill. So would that study have to be done, or do you think that this is a viable option based on what you saw?
Yeah, so I think that this is a viable option. I still feel that it would need some look at the grading. I think by using the term, flooding the people to the north, I think is just a bit strong. I think what I'm seeing on that roadway in and of itself is that it's a country style drainage along the road.
This is Concord Road?
Correct, in this area.
Okay.
Yep. No curbing. The stormwater is in the gutter between the edge of the pavement and the grass or the earth berm, say, off the road. But I was seeing the potential. I think there was the one abutter to the north where stormwater, if it was in the gutter, may want to dive into their property, similar to what's happening at Concord at Audubon at the moment.
Yeah.
So that may just need to be addressed with the driveway apron in that area. And then kind of heading down the hill the rest of the way, it seemed pretty much a good shot down the hill, again, in like a country style drainage down towards the bottom of the hill.
And another question I had, I don't know if you can answer this. I know the homeowner had said that, this is a relatively newer issue in that it's really been severe at times over the past several years. Was there anything that you could tell from the grading of the road that caused this, or is it just changing water runoff? And can you tell from looking at it? Because I know they repaved that road as well, Concord Road.
So the simple answer is I can't tell by looking at that. If I would have to go by my gut and my experience over time, is that I did not really see the roadway being repaved or regraded in the sense that it was pushing stormwater recently in this direction. I would have to say that it's probably the change of stormwater rainfall over time, the quicker intense storms that we're getting, the lack of infiltration of the water, and the higher runoff that you're seeing. That would be my gut that would tell me that.
And my last question was, does this runoff create a problem for the road in that you have a lot of water running down the side of the road? Would that damage the road itself over time if it's not addressed?
Sorry, are you talking about in which condition? If it's not addressed,
No, the
say-
runoff that goes down between in the gutter there next to the road, because there's no curbing, there's no anything. Is that eroding the road?
So in the current condition, how Concord Road allows stormwater to come down and then head down Audubon Lane,
Yeah.
I am seeing some erosion over time in that on the edge of Audubon Lane, the south side of it, as well as where it discharges onto the property at 7 Audubon Lane. Now, if you're asking about, implementing recommendation 1, heading, and so you redirect stormwater. Well, it's what stormwater does today for the rest of the roadway on that side. It would just be adding a bit more stormwater that comes down Concord Road. It's not that much more of a stretch of road, but it would be adding that to it. And country drainage is intended to allow the grass and the roots to be able to handle it in that area. Seem pretty stable on the edge of the west side of Concord Road, but again, could be looked at in a future review of it.
Yes, good.
Questions, comments? And Ryan, this would be funded out of the road maintenance plan or the culvert plan?
Area Road.
It would come from the funding you just saw.
So it'd be part of the road maintenance plan.
But I think you were asking the question I had. We would try the 35K thing and see if it works. Is that basically the theory?
Well, I mean,
I mean, that's what they're not nested, as you said, right? So is that,
There's-
you try the 35K and see if it works, right?
I would think so. I mean, there's two separate recommendations,
but
and
Is one the belt and one's the belt and suspenders?
he can answer that. I
He's
think,
nodding his head.
That's correct.
Yes, right. So I think we kind of have our answer, right?
Yeah.
but I think for the homeowner, and Karen is here, and Karen, you can please provide your perspective. I think that what's critical for the homeowner is to ensure that the water is diverted away from her property and diverted away from Audubon Lane.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of concerns and appreciate the thought that has gone into this. And the recommendations, I think, are where we likely would have expected to come out. I guess from my perspective, I can see, kind of the inclination to go start with recommendation 1, see if it works, and then go to recommendation 2. I can't tell you, what is recommendation going to work, not work. To me, it seems like removing the water from the surface is probably really the only surefire way to avoid the problems that have been consistently getting worse, both on Concord and on Audubon, in terms of the water and the damage that it's doing. I would rather have that done, in the first instance, as opposed to trying the curbs, diverting the water. I guess maybe we need a little bit more information or more detail around what that curbing would look like, what the plan is to sort of, I'm not sure I understand what it means to sort of raise the road a bit. And ultimately that water is just going to continue to go on down the road, right? It really needs to be drained, I would think. But obviously that's a decision you all are going to have to make. I will just say that, this is now, we're years in, and every year that passes, we may not see like a lack of stability so much on Concord, but I can tell you the loss of trees along Audubon is from erosion and trees just kind of falling out of the earth and losing their roots is pretty significant. A number of big trees just sort of kicked it on Concord Street. Now, I don't know that that's solely attributable to erosion, but the topography of the soil there has certainly changed. And Mark, you weren't here 5 years ago or even 3 years ago to see it, but the level of erosion and the sort of, you can see kind of where the water has gone and the path it's taken in the drainage there is really significant. So I do have concerns about simply putting curbing in and pushing the water further down the road, both for my property, but also, my goal in raising these issues was not to say, send it to someone else and make it someone else's problem. I'd hate to see this then become an issue for the houses north of me, and just have the water pooling. So, I think it's a tricky answer. I think that the best thing we could do would be to drain it from the surface. I understand that comes at a greater cost, And I get that you guys have priorities that you need to weigh. I'd ask that you consider sort of the significant damage that's accrued to my property alone over the past couple of years since I first raised this when you make the decision.
Thank you, Karen. As I do have another question for Mark. For recommendation 1, the first 2 items are install the asphalt curve, raise the entrance. For item 2, it's install the asphalt curve and raise the entrance. Is that work the same under both recommendations, or meaning
Correct.
if you did recommendation 1 and it turns out it's not sufficient,
Have you already done $35,000?
have you already done a good portion of the recommendation 2? Do you know what I mean?
Well, some of it.
Some of it.
That's correct.
Or is it
So
a
of
different
that-
raising? And so either way, you're installing the curb and raising
Steps
it.
1 and 2 would have been done, I presume, right?
Unless they're done in a different nature under recommendation 2 and 1.
Correct. So if you do recommendation 1, because that's what you have funding for currently, and then you think about you're going to do recommendation 2 the following year, that would be, of course, less of a price the following year because you've already implemented part of it.
Maybe not the full 35, but it's,
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
And the study, Mark, that you list here on the first recommendation, this would be done after the curb and the raised entrance are done, after points 1 and 2, to see what's happening to the water that we're trying to make flow down to Buttrick Pond?
That's a great question. The bullet points aren't in order of what would be done. I would say that the study would actually be the first thing. And looking at that, I can see why you would think it would be the last thing here. I feel that it would need to be a survey along the edge of the roadway to make sure that we don't create those issues for the neighbors to the north, and to see if there's any areas that need to be protected if that stormwater goes down there. And a study just to confirm, when I say study, more of a hydrologic and hydraulic analysis to make sure that we're not going to be creating problems as it heads to the north.
And so if that study then were done first, and you determined that it wasn't going to do what we wanted in terms of having the stormwater flow continue to Buttrick Pond, then would that suggest that we go right to recommendation 2?
It may
No.
suggest that, but having walked the roadway, I would be surprised if it suggested closed drainage system necessary under this, based on what I was seeing on the walk out there and what's there today. But you're right, it could come as a summary of the study.
As a what?
Summary.
It could come from the summary of the study, but again, I don't believe that would be the case.
Okay.
and this culvert is not a priority culvert, correct?
It is not, no.
Okay. Because I think the other piece is the culvert that's, that's another component of this, is the culvert may be clogged, and I
Yeah.
think I remember the photo of
Yeah.
the ground flooded on the other side, and it's like, so it's all, I'm guessing, interrelated.
Yeah.
And you probably can't necessarily ignore any individual piece of it. And the swale, what was the swale again? Remember we went through that definition exercise.
So I have a question for Mark and a question for Ryan. This question for Ryan, is it a private road or a town road?
Audubon's a private road.
Okay, so there's that, right? Because once you start fixing private roads, you're gonna have a lot of people raising their hand to be fixed. I know I feel bad for people, but I live on a private road. We pay for everything ourselves, like, that's the deal, right?
We would have to enter into at least a memorandum of understanding with the Audubon,
Yeah.
whatever association exists, or for that common land, and then work through the legal requirements of us working on that site if we were to do it.
Right, okay.
Can I-
Did I misread the report, Mark, where I thought the recommendation was confined to the public road? No, I mean, I
Okay.
get, there's an intersection
Fix the
there, right?
public
So
road
at
'cause
some
it's
point, it's
damaging
gonna
the private road.
touch
It's putting
the top of Audubon, but I didn't understand from the report that any of the recommendations resulted in working on Audubon itself.
Yeah, that's a fair statement, okay. The Mark question is more technical. You've got a soil rating, hydraulic soil group. Is the rating the permeability of the soil, like how well it drains? And if so, is A better than B, or what does it mean? This is,
Very true. It is about how well it drains. So that was just doing the due diligence on the property to make sure we understood what type of conditions were out there. And yes, an A-type soil does drain better than a B-type soil, and so on.
so what did you, there's a color map, but I can't really sort this out. So is it poor drain, is it poor is one of the issues, besides the fact that a lot of stuff is flowing down from Indian Hill or whatever, is it poor permeability that's part of this?
No, they do have, from what I was seeing on the soils map,
Yeah.
some potentially higher groundwater table if you're looking at their house directly east of the house in the pool area in the backyard.
Yeah.
Potentially poor draining soils with a bit of a higher water table in that area.
Right.
Again, that is just facts from the study.
No, but I mean, it's a point,
the
right? If the water gets into the purple's like well, no, the purple.
That's not where the flooding is though, right? The flooding, we're not talking about the backyard near the pool. It's the side and the front yard.
So it doesn't mean.
So I don't know, I don't have the map in front of me, Mark, so I don't know if that was a similar
not
issue
too
in
bad.
terms of
It's
the water table or the level.
just getting to the point that it's just the stormwater runoff and the soils map are not necessarily one and the same in the issue here. It was just data that was provided for the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But there, I mean, I think what is clear is there is a significant amount of stormwater runoff that is going down that.
I think there's a lot of water coming in.
Yeah.
It looks like the drainage actually isn't bad. The soil type isn't bad, I guess.
In the heavy rain events, though,
Yeah,
it's
right,
all,
right. I mean, it's, yeah, I understand the issues.
and the culvert and all that stuff doesn't seem to be
Nothing's helping,
working, or the patterns have changed.
right? Okay.
So for the two clogged pipes, is there anything that can be done in the near term for cheap that will help alleviate the problem?
I know Jim was out there looking at this, right?
Maybe.
Or is that under the
I
culvert?
mean, definitely. It just depends on.
Will that will only cover a fraction of the problem, maybe? We don't know. But, I mean, I would say at the very least, let's
Do
get
what you
those.
can do that's cheap, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a near-term fix. Let's at least help in that regard.
We're not ignoring this one. We're just working through the
Sure, yeah.
100 or so that were identified as needing this.
Okay,
Back to the culvert plan.
Yeah,
I think we got it.
okay.
So what's the action item for the select board tonight? This would be part of the road maintenance plan.
So there are more than 3 options, but I'm going to try and distill it to 3. So the first option is to do nothing. The second option is to have us do this immediately. So we do have the Chapter 90 funding to put this out to bid. We could bring that to you so you know what it looks like, or we could just execute it. The third option would be to include this in the summer maintenance package.
But the second option, you wouldn't do it in the winter, right? You
No,
wouldn't
we
be
would
doing
start
it.
the process of,
You
we
get the
would,
bid.
we could get it done in April.
Okay, well, it sounds like Mark is advocating, even if we chose option 1, the first thing to do is another little study.
Yeah. And the study would be something Mitch would do?
That's who I would recommend, yes.
And-
Yeah.
And is that a piece of the 30? Maybe that needs to be bid out, just the study.
What are you thinking on the bidding? You just bid the whole thing, all of it?
Well, no,
Yeah,
but
Mark
Mark's
is-
saying, if the study says it won't help, then why would you do the rest of
Yeah,
it?
Mark, what's
Right.
your read on that, to do that first step
Yeah.
of making sure the mitigation doesn't create more problems to the north?
Yeah, I don't see that as a big study. I mean, we would want to get some survey to take really a better look at that area than using 2-foot contours on LiDAR that we used as part of this study. I'm sorry?
Nope, we didn't
Oh,
say
I
anything.
thought someone said something. So I don't see that as a big lift. I did not include it though in the 35 because my thought was that, this is a not a heavy lift of a road improvement project with some curb and some asphalt and just making sure that there are no issues with the stormwater wanting to flop off on another property as it heads north. There aren't that many properties left before Buttrick Pond. So the idea was that if that just gets handled directly by the town in and of themselves, that's why I did not include any studies into that 35K there.
So the study you put as your bullet item is not part of 35, is it? Not be done by niche and not be 35K?
And it's not really a study in terms of,
It's surveys, I guess, right? Some more surveys?
It's survey and engineering of it, especially if this is going to go out to bid, correct?
So this is survey the town would do rather than niche? I'm a little confused on that.
Because of the size of the problem, we did not give a fee for what it would cost to do survey and bid documents. So it's not included in there.
But you know what we can do, what we can't do, right? So
Yeah, we would need a
you
third
need-
party to do this.
Right, so I guess my recommendation is have Niche quote that, do that, see what it says, right? You can do that with the money you have today, right? The budget money you have today in the 90 funds? Can we do that in fiscal 26 money?
We can do both recommendations if we want. It just means something else isn't gonna get done.
Right.
So you have every option.
But, so, Mark, you're saying, though, that, so what would it cost to do, if you were to win the bid, what would it cost to do the study you're describing in that bullet under recommendation
Careful,
one?
you might disqualify Niche.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to get into
No,
that.
they're on our house
Wouldn't say
doctor
it that way.
contract, so,
Pardon?
they're on our house doctor contract. I can bring you that bid.
Okay.
It's winter time, you can do the study in the winter time, right? Let's do the study.
Correct.
Okay.
Bring it back, right?
Yeah.
do
Does
that,
make
and then
sense?
we'll,
I mean, just from a moving ahead,
and
not on
if
the-
it finds that the recommendation would be effective and not create more problems.
Great.
Does the board feel like we would want to
Yeah,
move forward with this?
Support the 35.
Yeah, I would do that, but if it turns out it's not enough,
Right.
then you gotta think about it, because then it really, 35, we can find 35, right? But you get
It's a
to
longer
six
term,
figures, you're really displacing some other, no, but you're
No,
displacing, I mean, it's an equity thing. It's not that we don't like
No.
these people, it's that there's other people also waiting in
Right.
line for things to get done,
Right.
right?
Well, and what I'm hearing from you, Mark, is that I don't think you would have put recommendation one in there as a recommendation if you didn't think it would work.
Correct.
Okay. So it's not
Right.
So I think we proceed with that. We answer the question of, does this create more problems? And then if it doesn't, then I think it sounds like the board would be supportive of proceeding with the project, the recommendation one.
Mark, can you send me that proposal? Or do you want?
Yeah, can pull one together for you. Yep.
Okay, real quick, when you say raise Audubon, did you mean put a blip on Concord, or is it actually raising Audubon?
It would be putting a lip somehow between Concord and Audubon, because you can't just put the curb in along Concord up to Audubon Lane and let the stormwater keep going north. It will continue down Audubon Lane. So you got to lift the front entry to Audubon Lane either with some sort of lip or just micrograding of the main entrance in the public right of way.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask that I be allowed to do that small legal investigation.
Yep,
That I
just
don't
make
think is
sure.
gonna be a problem. I just wanna make sure it isn't.
Yeah,
Okay, good,
that's
Yep.
fine.
great,
Okay,
thanks, that's good.
all right. Okay, so we have some action items on that. Let's get that moving. Thank you both for attending. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.
All right, thanks, everybody. We went a little long on that one, but it's good discussion. So let's move on to shared services discussion. So included in the packet was a report from January 2024, 2 years ago, around shared services in Carlisle. My commentary on this is that, again, sitting in the FinCom meetings, taking a look at this year after year, we talk about level service budgets. The truth is, if we really want to affect our glide path, we either have to reduce service in some areas
Right.
and/or find a way to provide services
I agree.
more efficiently. And the shared services is a way to do that potentially, and if not improve some services. So it's important that we look at this and that we work with FinCom to identify some opportunities to investigate. And Ryan's looking for 5 potential options that we could evaluate for the town. I think there's some that we can pursue that don't require like a grant to study, but this is going to be important because we're at this point where, you know, if we don't do something like this in multiple areas, we're not going
I
to
agree.
achieve our goals. So, discussions around potential areas. I have some notes. One area that, let me pull up my notes. So in the area, you know, a few things, and this is partially working with the administration and the school committee, but at the Carlisle Public School, there's some opportunities identified that we're also going to be talking with the school about. We are sharing some services now in terms of HR, in terms of facilities. Sharing finance services is another area where we can make some gains, I think, for both the town and the school. I know it's been discussed at the school committee, but also areas of looking at, is there a way we could be doing transportation differently? Because right now we're kind of subject to the oligarchy of Bedford Charter. And also, you know, it's come up in the preschool discussions, but also what are things we can be doing? And David, you mentioned this multiple times. Are there special ed services that we're currently doing in town that we could work with the region to provide in a higher level of service in a more cost-effective way? I think, and I'll interface with the school committee on these, but these are all things I think have been discussed at a high level, but I think we need to put some priority.
Well, and an opportunity just crossed our plate today. I commend Jim O'Shea. I
Yes.
think he was a great hire. I sent him a note to that effect,
Yep.
and I think he was tremendous for the school. But if we wind the clock back before that time, there was a lot of discussion about a superintendent's union. There was little appetite for combining the school with the Concord schools. But there is a construct called the superintendent's union, where the headquarters function, which they have, appends a school. It doesn't functionally reduce the independence of that school to do its own thing, but it does take a high salary and, you know, apportion only a sixth or an eighth of it or whatever. We already have a standard. We effectively have a shared superintendent for the high school, so, you know, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know, and I don't recall at the time whether we extended that even to sped services, but it makes it more easy to do. So I would strongly encourage the school committee to take that on as the first step before they do a recruitment.
Yep.
And that, you know, again, it's not as dramatic as combining the organizations.
Right.
But it does, you know, I think it could be, you know, we already support the quality of the leadership in Concord because we obviously send our children there for high school. So, and then, Ryan, you've mentioned dispatch in the past as a potential.
Yeah, it's come up in conversations here. Police, fire, dispatch. I think the things to explore are some of the things you just talked about, senior leadership, and also.
And that's also mentioned in the report as well. And is typical for a town of our size. I mean, you look at the analogs out there.
Yeah.
These are not things that are unheard of. These
No,
are,
right. All the small town, I mean, are you the chairman now of the small town, something or other?
President.
The president, so Mr.
the
President,
shared president.
can you tell us, you know, some other best practices that you're learning about for the small town?
Things that we do on our own that a lot of towns our size will.
I've been pretty
Yep.
clear with the idea of internal shared services.
Yep.
So every
That's a low-hanging fruit, so we agree, that's certainly.
there's still structural problems there that would need to be addressed. So I think land use should be combined into a multifunction, single stop type shared services. Same with finance department. There are opportunities to expand our current existing relationship with the school. So we do HR and a lot of the financial processing. So we could formalize some of that relationship and probably find efficiencies. And then we just talked about public safety. Eventually, DPW and facilities, you know, those could be explored in years out, but that's talking about glide path.
So I read the 20-page report. I liked the health one in particular. They point out the very valid point that infectious diseases do not know town boundaries. And they point out that in both dispatch and in health in Carlisle, there is some potential attrition due to retirements. I love the idea of not having to like eliminate or lay off employees, so it would be great if these were sort of an organic part of the process that was going to happen anyway. And I think they also pointed out the, what was it, building inspections. Those are three. I thought the strongest candidates was health, dispatch, and building inspections. I did not see library and school as a candidate myself.
Well, school's not school, and we
Yeah.
didn't, at the time of this report, it was, school, superintendent's union is not school.
Okay.
It's school management. It's kind of like.
It's management. Got it.
It's kind of
Okay.
like, you know,
Gotcha.
if Sandy and so forth take over paying the invoice, I mean, it's not as simple as that, but,
Right.
you know, you're moving a piece of administrative load to a shared
Yeah.
position.
Okay, that's a good point. Clarification.
It requires some study. I see Brian's on here, and, you know, Brian, if you want to chat with any of the former school committee people who chased that, we are all around and happy to talk to you.
HR and finance.
I will continue those conversations, and if you've heard any of the conversations I've had in the last couple of days,
Yeah.
superintendent union, regionalization, they've all come up. Fortunately, the Carlisle School District is kicking off a strategic plan process next week, and you know,
Okay.
timing-wise, this works out well, and we can gauge the appetite of the community for some of these things.
Right. Thank you.
To add to that, Ryan mentioned, and I thought it was a good point, the HR and finance functions, if there's a internal shared service. I know we've worked at that with the DPW and trying to, I'm sorry, public, what is it, the facilities to combine those. And if we were to figure out a way to combine those things over time, that might be a valuable thing. I think there's already some cross-sharing of HR functions.
So the town does all the benefits for the school, so all the benefits processing. They prepare all the warrants and bills, but we do the processing of those. And the accounting runs through the business office currently through the consultant. But everything comes eventually to the town because it's not a separate entity.
And Brian, is there discussion at the school committee level about that question and, you know, whether it makes sense to continue with a outside consultant to handle the school's finances? I know I'm simplifying it, but, or is it on the table to try to move more of that over to town hall?
I think anything is definitely on the table, but I would also say, as the chair, and the school committee has not met yet. You know, we're meeting tomorrow night for the first time since Jim's announcement became public. As the chair, right now, there's also a little bit of, for the next 6 months or while we're through this transition, wanting to maintain some status quo because we're losing some significant institutional knowledge in 6 months' time. But I think Barney, it is definitely on the table.
And is there anything that either select board or more specifically town hall staff could be doing to help understand both the costs and benefits of any of those kind of improvements or changes?
So Brian, let me step in. I was going to send you an email on this today, but with Jim's announcements, I said I'll send it tomorrow. But what I did want to do is just schedule a time for you, me, Ryan, and Jim to get together to talk through some of these things and figure out how something like this might work, so that we could, both sides can determine. I think there's a potential win-win there for the town and for the school, but and that one in particular, we want to have a meeting with the four of us initially to hash out some of those details and then see where that goes.
Good.
I'll send that email tomorrow. I guess the cat's out.
At one point, we had sort of an informal IT relationship. Is that also formalized?
That was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, the IT
Are we doing
is.
that now? Because I know Scott and them are pretty good over at the school side. Are they doing stuff for town on the other?
What I would ask, if we should explore everything,
Yeah.
as Brian put it best, that everything should be on the table. But IT, we would need a consultant to come in and, or a study to work through what that would look like, because it's just, it sounds simple, but
It's not as,
it's MAC versus
Okay.
non-MAC and
so it's not,
security.
maybe not as a good a place, okay.
So Scott is certainly a talented IT director, and we could benefit from his relationship, but in terms of saving money,
Yeah.
it would have to be thought through.
And maintenance is now pretty much integrated, right?
Facilities?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's completely coming over to the town budget.
That one's, right,
Yeah.
so now, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the progress is great
Mm-hmm.
on that, but it is all kind of around the edges of the big chunks. The time is coming, to Scott's point, that, and maybe it's a great thing for you to tee up for the next select board in terms of next year's goals, to really get more serious about action plans toward those regionalization opportunities.
I
And
was-
you would, oh, go ahead, Christine.
I, not, on the topic of shared services, but was included in the report.
Yep.
It points out that we still mail out property tax bills. It seemed to insinuate, or maybe I want to insinuate, that those don't need to be mailed out.
I would have to look into that. And
yeah.
I also know that would cause you and me significant pain.
Really?
Yes.
Everything's online.
There's a significant senior population
Right.
who don't agree.
We did make the little change to only send them twice a year now.
Yeah.
so.
Oh, really?
And that has caused a little pain, but
Yes.
not sending them at all would cause a lot.
Oh.
So it serves as a reminder for many residents to pay their taxes, which we certainly do want. But the statutory, if you miss a payment, it's statutory that there are fines and fees attached so that there isn't favoritism and that type of thing. And so if they miss that payment, then they have to pay extra. We don't like that.
No.
So the reminders help.
Okay.
Did we have any more comments for the CPS at this point, or for the schools? So,
No.
Brian, if you're joining for this part of the discussion, we'll probably move on to other topics within shared services if you want to. I know you have a busy day tomorrow.
I was going to stay on for community preservation as well, so
Okay,
I'll just
great.
stay on for a bit.
Great. Ryan, I think I know the answer to this, but it's the part of our budget that is increasing significantly every year. Is there anything else that can be done in the areas of like retirement and health insurance? I know we're part of like these consortiums. Is there anything else we should be looking at as a town to mitigate some of the increases, or?
And I know it sounds like it wouldn't pay dividends immediately, but legislative pressure would be important. There's a big statewide push. It's health insurance is crushing everybody, so
Yeah.
it's one of those rare moments where all towns combine with the same problem. We do need to look at the structure of our plans, but that causes retention and other issues if we're too draconian with those changes. But working with the unions and the employees to come up with the best possible price and package for health insurance would be important. The select board could support that effort next year.
And we are adding the high deductible plan this year, which hopefully will help some employees and the town.
Maybe.
But retirement,
That's just what it is.
yeah, continue to advocate the OPEB level of savings should be thought through every year.
Right.
How fast we want to go with that compared to how much we want to drop services or regionalized services should be discussed. And that includes the regional school.
And I will say on that point, the region is definitely way ahead of most entities in Massachusetts. And even, I would say even our town, when we started making the OPEB contributions many years ago,
We were ahead, too.
we weren't ahead, and we decided, now we're ahead. So I think it is on the table to look at. We need to have a plan, and we need to stick to the plan, but if we just keep blindly putting in the same amount every year, it may be time to make an adjustment there.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at that with the guy that does the.
And FinCom is
actuarial.
they're looking at that this year. I know that's a
Right.
topic.
Right.
I mean, having sat in a lot of those discussions, it's not abundantly clear that that getting off our path is a good thing. I mean, we're in a pretty good,
Yeah.
we're in a good path. We're not a crazy path. Like,
No.
we're in a good path.
But we're in the top, quartile now?
Oh, aren't we, don't we feel like we're better than average?
Well, but if it's, it's a balance, right, with the other financial increases that we're facing. And if I don't know, we may not
Well,
want
right.
to be
FinCom
discussing
is,
this now,
it's a
but
topic
OPEB
FinCom is looking
Yeah.
at, so they'll have a recommendation.
There's a little, there's a little trimming of that, but I think I agree, you know, going back to your sort of opening remarks, Scott, true shared services in a meaningful way is probably the
Yeah,
best single thing we can do to maintain a decent level of service without a crazy tax bill,
yeah.
period. And we're spending money on buildings, we've kind of bellied up to needing to do, you know, once in a generation rejuvenation of a whole bunch of buildings, that's just what it is. And we obviously statutorily, you know, pay our retirement and we pay into the OPEB and we make sure all that is sound and, you know, now we're at operating budget things and that's what we have to do.
Is there anything in the area of transfer station or DPW that we should be looking at? I know there's the action committee and,
So there's future efficiencies in combining facilities in DPW or looking to share some of those top-level functions. I wouldn't recommend that now.
Right.
Because we're already in a bridge from Gary to Jim to some future, but we should think about that future. The transfer station in many communities often comes up as if you were to not provide transfer station services, it would save a lot of money.
Where would people?
Everybody would have to contract it individually, or we could get a town-wide.
Wow.
But that's a culture changing and town changing effort.
I wouldn't do that.
Moving to curbside, yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
So DPW functions there are future efficiencies, like any of these top level positions. But you would lose in any of these, right?
Yeah.
Dispatch,
yeah.
police, fire, DPW. You're gonna lose that. I can call Jim and he can come fix my tree.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're not gonna get service. It just means you're not gonna get that what Carlisle expects for service. So identifying what is a no-go in this or what you do want to explore is extremely important because once you identify it, it's going to become one of your hot topics.
Yeah.
Where are we, so we talked earlier, interim building commissioner, where are we, I mean, is that a thing that could be regional or is that?
I'm heavily trying to, to explain it, the building commissioner, it probably requires somewhere between 20 and 30 hours, which is a benefited position. We'd want to pay more on the 30-hour end so that we could attract a building commissioner because there's not enough for all the towns. But we probably need closer to 20 hours of building commissioner, so we'd be paying that excess 10 hours. So I was hoping that through regionalization,
Can find somebody else.
we could absorb and maybe help them hire a local inspector or revenue share or something that would allow us to save money. But that's not as easy as it sounds. People with well-functioning building commissioners like we had with John don't really want to share it because there's not a replacement out there.
Right,
So-
and they may not have the 20 hours. I mean, one of the things that strikes me, I tend to think of contiguous towns, right? So there's 5 towns that touch our borders. They're all in the 15 to 30, 40,000 population. I mean, they're all significantly
Big.
larger. They're all pretty well managed, right? But maybe that's not the universe, right? In rereading the report in the North Shore, I don't think proximity to the town was that big of a deal. They had a town here and a town there get together and.
Yeah.
Right, so certain things maybe are not geographically tethered, right?
Unfortunately, I know you're not talking specific about this, but building inspectors are, because they do have to inspect.
They have to come.
They have to
around,
go
so they'd
physically
have to go
here.
close.
Whereas some of your other functions, you should be here for like FaceTime, but you don't have to be here,
Right.
like IT.
Well, I mean, you have visibility into a lot of small towns, right? So you would kind of have an idea of what. All I'm saying is you take a big town, take Bedford or any town, and you say, well, could we share? Well, they're like, nah, not really, because we're pretty busy, right? You know, whereas maybe there's another little town that has the exact same 20-hour problem that we have, right?
Foxborough has a shared health agent
With,
with other towns in the area.
Oxford's pretty big though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Most towns our size share functions like that. But most towns like us are not here.
Right.
Yeah,
Western.
right.
They're west the Cape, on the southern border.
Okay. So in terms of what you need from us tonight, I mean, I think we've talked about some potential things with the school that some of them will follow up directly with Brian and Jim on. We talked about dispatch, we talked about, do you have enough information from us, or do you need like a formal
You had
list?
said we should try to select, right, select a
It's-
list.
And perhaps it doesn't have to happen tonight,
Yeah.
but if you identify things, what we can do is through, they're not free grants, but through planning grants like this study came from, we can bring you what it would look like to actually do some of these things, which I think is important. Because there's a lot of unexpected consequences, and there's a lot of towns that have gone through this, and I think you'll want to know. So, sure, regionalized dispatch, but there are consequences to doing
Yeah,
that. You're
well,
going to
yeah.
lose
No
your
one's saying
local
to do it,
service.
but we need to evaluate it, right? Like,
So you should see what that is like, or what it has been like somewhere else, so you can identify whether or not you want to go down that road.
for some of the potential things like with CPS is, obviously we would coordinate closely with the school committee, but are there do you think you could get grant funds to look at some of the things that have been talked about, or?
I could get grant funding soon.
Okay.
The first thing they're gonna ask me is what does your board want us to look at?
So that's something, I see Brian's still out there, maybe we can also discuss, because maybe there's some things that, as a school committee, when you're doing your strategic planning, you want to look at, and we can support getting grant funding for some of the questions we don't necessarily have answers to. If that's something you're interested in.
Well, I mean, I would say, right, if 5 is a number, let's just say that's a number, because was that in our goal, 5?
Well,
I would take 4, 6,
he's
5.
he's looking just for some
Right.
specifics that he can put a
Yeah.
grant out for.
Well,
Yeah.
I think 2 of them now are kind of joint with the school, right? One is happening anyway, I think, which is internal shared services, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that should be 1, right? Because that's
Yep.
kind of happening pretty well anyway.
Yep.
And now we have a new one.
Yeah.
You're gonna talk to them about
Yeah,
that. So
but the-
there's 2 of them right there.
I
And
think we need a
then-
grant for that one, so we can,
Yeah, maybe, and then I think we've learned dispatch, health, and building are 3 that, did you have another one on your list?
Those are the 3 I named.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think, there's
I'm
5, like,
very good
those are
agreement.
5, right?
Yep.
Unless we also want to, and maybe this isn't, maybe you're not ready for this yet, with the transition that's coming, but the finance and HR and personnel, all of that coming
No,
from.
that was the first one.
That's
I
the
said
internal.
The first 2 are school, one of them's internal,
Oh, okay.
which is all that stuff.
Oh, okay,
And
got
then,
it.
then there's
Good,
possibly
good,
now
good.
with the
With
superintendent.
her super,
So those
okay.
are 2 of 5, and then the other 3.
Gotcha.
To me,
Makes
that's
sense.
5.
And we can also, again, we can work with the school committee to see if they have a request, as they talk
Yeah.
about these options that,
Right.
that we can work with Ryan on getting a
Okay.
grant for.
I'm good with that list.
All right,
Are others? Everybody
I
else?
think it's about as good as we're gonna do tonight,
Yeah.
so.
Good. All right.
All right, great. We're not as behind.
You're
as I
catching up,
thought
you're
we'd
catching
be.
up.
No, I thought this was the gauntlet, this stretch. All right, Barney,
Okay.
CPA, let's get into it.
So, I'll start with what I think is probably the simpler conversation, which is the projected list of projects that, as far as people have communicated to me or to the CPC as a whole, we expect to be coming as applications for this round of funding. Ryan, are you able to put that up on the?
Yeah, what's it called? CPA activity?
It's potential CPA projects.
I don't know I have that one.
CPA activity, 12/31/25.
No, that's different. That's
Oh.
the Excel spreadsheet. You
Oh, I
all
see.
haven't seen this, because I just did it this
Oh,
afternoon.
Sneaky.
Sorry, give me a
It
second.
was in that email I
Yep.
sent you, Ryan. Want me to send it
Oh,
again?
I got it. It's a Word document. Got it.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Excuse me as I put this up.
So just to remind folks, because we have set the town warrant to close on February, is it 12th, that first select board meeting in February, the CPC then has a deadline of groups sending a brief summary of what they're planning to apply for by this Friday, and then their full CPA application needs to be in by, I think it's the 2nd of February, so that then the CPC will meet right after that and review them and be able to recommend the ones that should go on the warrant. Yeah, so here's the list. So we know that Gleason Library, which received a grant 2 years ago for $767,000 for the interior renovation and of the library. The costs for that project have gone up, and while the trustees and others have been doing a fair amount of private fundraising and have successfully raised some money, they currently believe they're going to be short about $500,000 for, if they want to break around this year to cover the cost. And so I had a conversation today with Caitlin from the trustees about, and they're going to meet, I think, shortly. I can't remember if it's tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow.
Pardon?
Day after tomorrow.
Yeah. But I think they will be coming in for a request of somewhere in the $300,000 range. And they need to lay out sort of how they would, what their fundraising plans are to make up the remaining amount that they think they'll be short. Then the Highland Building, now, Ryan, I don't know if you are part of that. I mean, sorry, not Ryan, Brian. I don't know if you're part of that conversation, but my intelligence is that there's an informal group of members from the Historical Society, Historic Commission, and the School Committee, and a few others that are discussing submitting a CPA application to do a study of the infrastructure, to finish the study of the infrastructure of the Highland Building, particularly including the water and septic connections that would then demonstrate that the building could be used for another purpose. And so that is eligible for CPA funding. And I just put a guesstimate in here of 30 to 40,000. It may not come to fruition. I mean, maybe you know more about the Highland Building since the school committee's discussing it tomorrow night.
The school committee's talking about it tomorrow.
Yeah. And is the school committee discussing this idea, or is there a whole new idea on the table?
What the school committee will be discussing is how the school may or may not have a use for the Highland going forward.
How you may or may not, even though last year those discussions resulted in a decision that you did not have a use for it, but that may change now?
Our goal is to sort of close the loop on this because we want to get back to the select board with the request from, I think, a year and a half ago now, whether the school sees a future use for it or not within our needs. So,
okay.
More to come tomorrow.
And you think you'll reach a decision tomorrow night, or that we'll just
Yes,
opening the
I
conversation?
think we won't vote on it, but I think we'll have a
Okay.
pretty clear direction following our discussion.
And I'm going to update the select board on your discussion tomorrow night. My understanding is you would make a formal recommendation at the following meeting.
Yeah, we can't discuss and vote in the same one.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
More to come
Yeah,
tomorrow.
more to come. All right, and then this is really from town staff, including the gentleman sitting to my far right, that idea of digitization or preservation of the historic town documents that have been uncovered as we've started to go through all of the boxes of papers that we have here, or digitization of the land use documents, potentially CPA documents, which I don't know if that's eligible, but anyway, that's on the list. Has to be determined pretty quickly to meet the deadlines. Then under conservation, open space, outdoor rec, we may receive an application from CCF, which is the Carlisle Conservation Foundation. It's a nonprofit, independent organization, but they have been completing the work on the conservation restriction for the Woodward land, and the remaining piece of it is the legal expenses, and they may submit an application to cover those legal expenses. About 25,000 is my guess. And then the amenities building. Brian, I'll come back to you to say a few things about that, all right? But and then just to finish up, we have under affordable housing, and David, you can share more with us the next time around after the CAHT meets, but my understanding from communications I've had with John is that they're considering an application for approximately $200,000. And then finally is the grant to renew the rental assistance for Carlisle residents, which is the one we've been doing for the last couple of years, and it's a renewal at the same level, which would be $50,000. Brian, do you want to tell us a little more about the amenities building and where that stands?
Sure, and you will get an application for that because I have it 90% complete. We are still running off an estimate of 1.7 to 1.85 million all in for the building. Last year, it was looking like it was going to come in closer to the 1.7, 1.75 amount. I will put it in sort of assuming the 1.85 with the current assessment. That does put it, I think it's 462. And we can talk, about that with the conservation, with the CPC. Concord is moving forward with voting at this in their town meeting, which is in April, in terms of using CPA funds to fully fund their portion of the project. So I do feel this year the timing is hopefully aligning. I'm also pleased that it's their meeting first. So if the town turns this down, then I don't have to do the presentation to Carlisle again unless we're a little bit more confident about what our neighbors are planning.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Good to know. Any questions from anybody?
I have a comment, just to, one of the things that I think we've discussed and also came up in the FinCom meeting is that given all the budgetary pressures that we really as a town need to look at these funds and make sure we're spending them on important items that rise to the level of importance as other things. Because we're not going to be able to fund some things out of our regular budget. And these funds are useful, and just because we have them doesn't mean we should spend it all. So I think just putting that lens on it as we approach town meeting will be important for all parties.
Yeah, so I wanted to pivot to the spreadsheet to try to understand that.
Yeah, which one do you want to look at?
Unfortunately, my computer's crapping out
Is
on
it
me.
the
They-
CPA revenue?
There
Well,
was
it's
one
one
spreadsheet with
itself.
2 tabs, right?
Yeah, yep.
I was more interested in the categories. Well, this one, the only thing I'd say is, which has always been brought up, and you go down to the bottom to the current, is it's subsidized money. It's not as subsidized as it used to be.
Right.
And I know Mark Bernstein in particular and some others have raised that as, maybe we should, maybe as part of our,
Look at the
Relief.
surcharge. Yeah,
just don't vote as much money into
Yeah.
it, right? But setting that aside, the second sheet, I always thought that there was an open category, but what this tells me is historic, is there an
Well,
open category?
yeah, it's called, it's the undesignated
Right, but I wasn't
category.
seeing that here.
Well,
So
because
it
none of
doesn't-
these, because they all
Right.
have to qualify under
Right.
one of these.
So what is our balance right now?
Our
That
ba-
didn't come out of that sheet,
Yeah.
right? I
Well,
see the 1,000,001, but I don't know.
yeah,
Can you lock,
that's,
Ryan, can you lock the top so we can see the headings?
So this is just appropriations. If you want balances, we should go
Well, it
to,
says remaining balance. Oh, no, remaining balance
no,
of the
just on
appropriation.
each
I
grant.
see, okay.
we should go
So
to.
how much money roughly is in the coffers, I guess, that's the question.
Yeah, I know that, we just got the amount we got from the state, which is a little under 100,000, and so the surcharge, the portion that the town provides through the surcharge on our property taxes is about $500,000, and then the state match this time around is about another 100,000.
Right, but I'm saying the
and
balance, right?
Right.
I have it, I can call it
Do
up.
you have it right there? Okay.
Kelly prepared this for me, so.
And by the way, I do have something I want to share after this about, Kelly and Brian did a quick analysis on if we were to change the surcharge amount, just what that tax savings would be. So I want people to see that too.
So is it 3? Can you blow that up a little?
Yeah.
For our old eyes here. There we go. So about $3 million, 4 million?
Right here. This is your total, 3 million. You have 2.3 in undesignated.
Right.
115,000 historic, nothing in open space.
So
636 in community housing, and that does not include the appropriations to come.
Right, but, I mean, that's just sitting as the pot of.
What we'll realize from this 2026 tax.
Okay, so another $500,000 is flowing in, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So your list that you sent Ryan
Yeah.
was $1.5 million, something like that? Library is how much?
Yes, if you go
I mean, if you did it all,
300,000.
let's say.
Pardon?
If you did everything that you have on the list.
Yeah, sorry, I should have added this up, but.
The only thing I would caution is that the amenities building is in this total from last year. So
Okay, so don't double count that.
that's about $1 million, not $1.5 million.
$1 million of new requests.
New requests.
Okay.
Ish, really
Ish.
soft numbers.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So the 3.1 includes the 400
Right, the
that
amount.
was allocated last year.
Yes,
'Cause
it's
that's
right.
Okay.
It's right here.
So we could spend, back to your point, if we did everything, we'd spend about a third of the balance,
Yeah.
right? And do we want to do everything? Well, maybe not, but there's a lot of money there, right? There is a lot of
Yes.
money there, and we're in a tough thing here, and so certainly, I mean, again, and the biggest one first, the library. If we, as a town, don't have to spend capital dollars as another we got plenty of projects we're spending our money on. That seems like, a good, if it qualifies, I mean, that's, if that money is not approved, Barney, then they have to raise it privately, or what is the?
Well,
Maybe I should ask you that.
If it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, are you participating in the conversations with the trustees about this?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
absolutely. So, and, our next meeting is on Thursday. We've talked about approaching the state. Simon Cataldo's kind of told us talk to the hand so far. They've not,
Talk to the,
hand,
There's no money.
as in, yeah.
no money, no money.
No money.
Right.
And, we continue with private fundraising. We had a very successful Books and Brews event
Yep.
right before the holidays. It's just, I feel like people are kind of tapped out. We have some large donors who very generously, at the outset of the fundraising campaign, said you can come back to us for sweep-up funds, but we haven't really wanted to go back to approach them yet.
What is the balance again?
So our original estimate from the architects was we needed $2.3 million, and their latest estimate is costs, just due to inflation, have gone up by as much as $500K. So, hence the additional request.
And the funds that you have, the gap is currently, is it the 500?
Yeah, we've raised the 2.3 that we
Yep.
originally set out to raise.
Mhm.
The community was very supportive.
And that could be funded through CPC funds?
Yeah, you could.
So this is heading towards, the design documents are finishing, and it's heading towards availability to bid, which would give you a hard number.
Yep.
These are all based off estimates.
Yep.
Yes.
The problem with putting it out to bid is you can't sign a contract without having the full amount.
Yeah.
Right, so you want to have about what you think it's going to be so that you can hold that contract.
Mhm.
But bidding it would give you real numbers, so you know the actual, is it less, is it more?
Yeah.
I'm assuming timing-wise, you don't necessarily want to wait till town meeting to get the additional funds to take it out to bid. It's like a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
It is a chicken and egg thing. We were hoping we'd be out to bid by now, and
The holdup is the,
construction would be starting in January. That was the
waiver.
original target.
The holdup is,
The waiver, so there's an architectural waiver needed for this, removing the central staircase,
yeah.
which we,
The waiver is not
No,
for the
it's for the
central
exit,
staircase,
it's the
it's for
emergency
the
I'm sorry, yeah.
historic staircase.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
that's
yes.
right, that
I
little
Well, the
apologize.
central one's
flurry.
not historic?
No.
No.
Which one
That
is
was put in the,
historic?
So if you are driving by the library, there is a front entrance that is
Yeah.
never used.
Oh,
That leads to
that
an
I-
old
oh,
oak stairwell that is now an emergency exit.
I
Interesting.
mix my stairwell, but that's what they're waiting for to finalize the design.
Yeah.
They think it'll be approved, and that
but
would solve it.
This
So
is
what
not,
is-
oh, go ahead, you go.
well, I'm just thinking about this, so there's really, are you thinking, Christine, that you have to wait until you know about wait till town meeting to see what's approved for
You know, the
CPA?
trustees were hoping to raise the funds before all that. This is a significant setback to the original timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a chicken and an egg problem, though.
And
I don't know what their, I've not heard them mention town meeting, so.
Because I don't know if there's a way to get a private individual to, you're saying you have to know, you have to have a confirmed amount of money in order to put something out to bid and to sign a contract with somebody.
Well, to sign a contract, you do.
Martha and I talked about this, so transferring endowment funds to the town, transferring the donation funds, which I believe are in the endowment. And then we would need a memorandum of understanding for the use of some of the other funds that are gonna fund this project by priority order. Once we had that in place, we would feel
You could put it,
legally stable to sign the contract.
okay,
And all of this is gonna happen as long as there's enough money.
yeah. Okay.
But let me ask a different process, Barney.
Well, maybe they're getting to that point. Like-
Say, Travis, what?
That's okay. Go ahead. I was saying.
No, it sounds like they're gonna pursue additional private funding between now and town meeting, because,
Well, we're hitting up all sources, right?
Yep.
So CPA, private donors, gonna continue to hit up the state.
but CPA, you can't get anything out of CPA until town meeting.
That was what I was gonna ask.
That's-
Right.
You guys don't, the
We make-
CPC makes a recommendation
To town meeting.
to town meeting that you guys decide. We don't tell you what to do. You tell
No.
you what
Right.
to do. So in this situation, you'd have to calibrate how much maybe library's gonna raise on its own and then decide if you're gonna backfill or whatever.
Right.
And that would be a recommendation.
Right.
And then to your point, Ryan, but you couldn't go to bid until town meeting had approved that, because you'd need to know that that money was available, right?
If I was town administrator for a day, I would say, if all of that looked like it was gonna happen, like, let's say there was some CPA and some
Yeah.
additional fundraising, you were gonna have it, I would go out to bid right before town meeting. So
You
could sign
could
the
do that,
contract right after.
even with the caveat that.
Well, because we'd get the bids back, town meeting would happen by the time you get the bids.
Back, yeah.
But, okay, but let's say the bids come back and the town said,
Then you're,
Wow.
well, then you're hosed.
Well, I would
Just
bid it,
wasted your
I would
time.
bid it so you had the number at town meeting,
right, okay.
and then you could
Anyway.
adjust the CPA. if you
Anyway,
needed.
so what's the action for us?
Yeah,
There's nothing, right, because it's all up to CPC to decide, right?
I mean, it would be worth hearing from the select board if you felt that CPA should, that we should use CPA money to fund the entire difference, right? That is one option, and if between now and the Maytown meeting, you know, additional funds were raised privately, then we could, you know, before we.
It's gonna be harder to raise additional funds privately if you're already on record saying, we'll pay for it, so I'd rather.
No, but I'm just asking for your input, because one of the sort of guiding principles, and it's not part of the statute, of the CPA statute, is that for big projects in particular, our practice has been looking for the entity that wants the funds to be doing their own fundraising as
Right,
well.
right.
Well, one could say that the library trustees and others have raised a significant
But not
amount of
enough,
money.
but not enough.
And so,
Well, I
but,
think the costs kind of outran the fundraising effort.
Right, but that
Right.
happens all the time, so I mean, I think,
But it's a two-third, one-third.
yeah, I think you
match,
want
so
to
why
hew
wouldn't
to
you
that.
get the two-thirds.
They should get the two-thirds. I agree.
Two-thirds, and then,
Then we fill in with the third, because I mean, I remember when we were raising money for the regional school building, there were things we wanted that school business,
The
whatever,
second
Yeah.
gym.
the state would not pay for.
Right.
And so we said, we'll raise it privately, and if we can't raise it, we won't do it, and that's what happened, we didn't.
Right.
Nobody's gonna contribute to an amenities building, which is a fancy word for bathroom, right? So that's a good use, right? No, we don't object to re-upping that one, right? That's a question for.
Yeah,
our
no,
regulators.
I,
Right.
unless unless people in town
The
for
Scott
some
Triola
reason have
Memorial.
changed their.
I'm
Yes,
writing a check.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so I mean, that's already a chunk, which is already in there, but it's a piece. I'm more in the bigger picture of, given that there's a $3 million balance, should we ease off the throttle on the CPA surcharge as a way of
Yeah, why don't we,
making the budget more?
yeah, let's take a look at that, because it maybe, to some, it might seem significant. To me, the savings of, we're currently at 2%, if we went down to 1%, this is an analysis that
Yeah.
Brian and Kelly did.
Right.
I don't know if you can make that a little larger.
So you're saying your house, like $1.4 million
So,
is in green, so I guess we'll use that one.
yeah, but right, and if you look at the notes at the bottom, basically, he says that the average single family for fiscal year '26 would say, well, fiscal '26?
Yeah.
Let's see, no, it wouldn't go into effect until fiscal '27.
but I get the
But it
point.
would be just under $169. And
But
I
I
looked
mean-
at ours, everybody just got their tax bill, so you can calculate it for yourself. And, if you cut it in half, what's on your tax bill?
But it's still is it a percent of?
It's a percent up to a certain value, I believe.
Right, there's an exemption in there,
Isn't it a
with the
percent on the first?
$100,000 exemption.
Yeah,
You take the first 100,000 off, and then it's
but it's on most of your bill, yeah, it's a percent.
But it's very clear.
But I mean, so what you're saying, go up a little, so I don't know, we'll use the 1.4, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah,
On a, that's probably a $18,000 tax bill?
probably
is the tax
pretty
bill?
close to 17.
All right, so on a $17,000 tax bill, you're paying only $333, so. Yeah, okay. I mean, all right, so that's okay. I think that's a reasonable position. But then then we should be a little more liberal with spending the money. If we're bringing in 500 a year.
unless, and this is something I don't know the answer to, but is there a way to identify over the next 5 to 10 years, things that the town is gonna need to do that could qualify for
That's what's
CPA
important,
funding?
and that's something I
Right,
know,
that's the key thing,
And it's hard, right? Because a
No,
lot
and
of
I-
things don't.
but I know it's on FinCom's radar, it's something they're looking
Yeah.
at, is
Is
which
it-
of these items might be CPA, so we don't
Right,
spend
we
all
could-
money on this
exactly.
thing.
So
we
and
could-
wasn't Pathways at one point, wasn't that gonna qualify?
No, pathways do not, I've learned.
So I've
that
learned, everything you
pathways-
really want doesn't
Yeah.
qualify.
Right,
I think in
because
Massachusetts.
anything that is along a roadway, along a paved roadway is considered transportation.
Perfect, we just won't pave anymore.
Right. So it has to come
Kill
out of
two birds with one
transportation.
stone.
And then we can
Just
do,
mill, don't pave.
right, we can do paths through the woods. Yeah, there you go, there you go.
You
Yeah,
can do
go back to
paths through
dirt
the woods.
roads, right.
You can do paths through the woods.
Oh, yeah, you can do trails, sure, but you can't do, anything that's. the
So
equivalent
is
of a
there
sidewalk.
must be, since there are 318 towns looking at this, there must be some examples of creative use of CPA funding around, right? Is there a way to get at that? Like,
Sure, you can, there's a great database of all the CPA-funded projects for the
Maybe we're
state.
spending-
And you can peruse those,
it's a great summer project for
the
nature.
ones, the ones that are from earlier, in the passage of the statute, which was, 2013, I think, or 12? They're not really legal.
Have they
Some
been
of those are not,
challenged, or-
no.
No, but
It's just
No.
too long ago.
Yeah, but there have been, there was a challenge on this sidewalk question.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a very clear ruling on that.
Yeah, I was curious. I didn't understand that, or I'm not up to speed on it. It was the pathways that are gravel, that are like out to Kimball's, you know. is
That's
that-
considered, because it's along a roadway, it's, whatever you
doesn't matter
call
what
it,
you
it's
pay.
considered
a sidewalk.
a sidewalk to get people from one place to another, and so that's considered transportation.
does
Oh.
not
It's
See,
not
But why,
considered,
why do they have their head up their tail, basically? Like, why don't they do things that people want? Like, is there some higher
Massachusetts.
authority that can be appealed to?
well, no, but the thinking was, your operating budget, should cover all those sort of basic maintenance things. Or something like Complete Streets,
Yeah.
right, a grant.
This isn't an operating budget.
So let's
Yeah.
talk about affordable housing, because that's definitely a subject, right?
Okay,
And we're a little bit over.
Okay. Give me just 30 seconds and then I'll back away.
Okay, I'll time you then.
Because, again, I want to be able to articulate this on Thursday. There's, the affordable housing people, the committee and various people who are proponents of affordable housing would really like to have bigger chunks of money available to buy parcels and do things. But the conundrum, as I know it, is you can't really, well, I don't know this. What you can't do is you can't bid on real estate without the town approving it. So I don't think there's a mechanism, but correct me if I'm wrong, to approve a large chunk of money to be put
Well-
into something that could be used without
well,
a town meeting? or-
no, actually, I mean, if you look at what Concord has done, and they do this every year, they have, it's almost automatic. Every year, the CPC approves the same amount of money to go into their housing pot.
Yeah.
And they have and I don't know what it's called, maybe it's the legal entity. They have a legal entity that we don't have. We used to have
Okay.
a
Housing authority.
housing authority, yeah.
Okay.
But in Concord, what happens then is, that's why they're doing a lot of affordable housing in Concord, because they have this pool of money that the staff people know is gonna come to them every year, and so they don't need to go to the town for approval, because
once
it's
you've
already
moved it
been
in there.
approved at the
So they could
town
actually
meeting.
purchase real estate using that money?
Yes,
So that's something we should look at then.
Yeah.
Because that seems to come up as a townwide objective is affordable housing, and yet we scratch, and we're doing it again with the Bog
Yeah.
House. I mean, the Bog House is a worthy thing, but it's a very complicated thing, because it's
Right.
got chapter 97 and
Yeah.
there's all this. And that. It would be nice if we had something set up so that
well,
when opportunities came
right.
up, they could just buy the thing and
Yeah.
do.
I mean, I guess maybe that's something that we need council's advice on. Because do you all remember, we used to have the
Yeah.
two entities,
Right,
and
then
then.
they fought, and then they all.
Yeah,
resolved it.
and so then the town voted actually to dissolve the housing authority. And I don't know if then I don't understand what the housing trust authority is. But they do, I mean, look, David, they already,
No, I like
they
what you
still
said.
have 560,000 sitting in their pot.
Yeah.
Whose
It's-
pot, though? The housing
It's the
authority?
housing
The
trust.
housing one,
The
yeah.
trust we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's there on that,
Right.
It's good money.
so you've got over
But
half a
does
million
that-
dollars.
But is that enough to, you said that Concord has a housing authority.
Yeah, that's
Can the
what,
trust buy things?
So
Yeah.
if the town bought something they wanted to manage, then you would have a housing authority in charge of it, but we don't have anything to manage.
Right.
So if we, this is hypothetical, please don't print this, but if the Bog House was the town's,
Yep,
we could have an authority that would run it,
right.
but we don't have anything to run, so we have a trust that,
But we
and
can't.
so do you know, can the trust legally, let's say a property comes on the market and it could be purchased for, it probably couldn't be, but let's say
Right,
it
you
could
need
be
more money
purchased
if
for
it is.
$500,000, the trust could legally purchase that on behalf of the town?
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
I will check if you want me to.
Well, what would be useful is
It's
the,
because the town meeting has to approve the purchase of,
right, but if, to Barney's point, if there was an authority, it wouldn't.
Mhm.
I mean, it would be worth understanding those rules, because
Yeah.
I could see putting more like $1 million in there. I mean, you need some real money, because nothing's
Right.
gonna be 500.
Right,
That would allow opportunistic purchases to happen. Right now, it can't happen, and I try to explain that to some people the housing trust, I don't think they fully understand it, but it's like, no, you know, it comes up, this is real estate, and we have to put it on the docket for an 8 months from now meeting and hope it passes, right? That you
Right.
can't do real estate that way, so,
Right.
you know, it would be useful to understand more of that. And that, I don't know if that would be in time for this apportionment, but as a long-term goal, that would definitely be something I would support.
So I will ask, do you want the staff to look into that? Is that a priority?
Let me do a little bit on it first, because the CPA Coalition is really knowledgeable about all this, and we don't have to pay for our town council if they know how this works. So let me do that first.
Because I would love to do that work, but I would love to know if all of you want
Right,
the staff
I'm
to
not
look.
sure, right, I don't know how involved it is, so because you're gonna have the chapter 27 stuff that staff are gonna have to do, maybe with the help of a consultant, but, yeah, okay.
All right, let's
Let's move on.
let's move on.
But just to round out though, sorry, Scott, but just, so if FinCom and then the select board could agree on what are some of these long-term expenses
Yeah.
that we know would qualify for CPA funding, then we could have a conscious strategy of maintaining a certain balance going forward to cover those things.
And I know it has been discussed, that specific question was brought up in the FinCom meeting, and we can reiterate, in that capital plan, do a scrub to
Yes,
say what could be CPA,
Right.
and make sure we're not missing anything, and it's on
Right.
your radar, even not as a formal request, but as we want to keep a
Right.
potential chunk of money. Okay,
right,
I'll
yeah,
take that as an action item, follow up with,
okay,
I feel
James.
I feel confident that the capital plan as it exists today
yeah,
has been scrubbed in that way.
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
I think what needs to be done is the Historical Society, the Historical Commission, the Recreation Commission, and the Affordable Housing Trust need to add their stuff to the
Ah.
capital plan.
Okay,
Because really what I would like to make sure that we have CPC, or CPA money for is those projects that they think they're going to be proposing that we don't know about.
got it,
Examples, and I don't mean to call anybody out, but the splash pad, pickleball courts, these
Yeah.
affordable housing options. And I know the Historical Society has designs on some of the upgrades at the cemetery, and that's not all on the plan. So
yeah,
it's really that there's a lot of people who are depending on that CPA money that just haven't
well, those,
expressed it.
I'm assuming that point will be raised in these departmental meetings coming up.
Yeah, but some of those
Maybe.
entities are
Yeah,
quasi-independent and/or
Yeah, I
not
mean,
town
like
entities.
It may not be in
HISCOM
people's
is not
radar
gonna
screen, because
come.
it's a little technical.
no,
Is Julie
Yeah.
pretty versed in this too? Of what qualify, like, would Julie know if she?
No.
she would. Yeah, speaking for the CAHT, I mean, the only thing right now on the radar screen is the Bach House. So I assume at some point that's CPA eligible. at some point.
Absolutely,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
all right, let's move on to the town administrator evaluation. That was included in the packet. It's been provided to the TA and to everyone else. It's a public document. In the interest of time, I won't go through all the details, but I did want to say that, once again, this is, the select board provided a universally excellent review of Ryan. We each met individually with Ryan and provided more detailed feedback for the public portion of this evaluation. Each select board member sent me both their performance scores, which in the evaluation is summarized on page 3, with Ryan earning an average of 4.7 out of 5, which is outstanding / exceptional, and he performed well, again, across all the categories that we measure. And each select board member also provided a public comment that is attached to the end of the document. And you are correct, David, yours is single-spaced, I apologize for that. I won't read through those, but, to summarize, in my mind, Ryan continues to set the standard for leadership and management within the town, in the town government of Carlisle. In his role as TA, he continues to effectively push forward on the challenging tasks of redefining and improving the culture, processes, and services of Carlisle Town Hall and overall town governments. He's exceptionally dedicated and hardworking, with a genuine commitment to his role, his colleagues, and the long-term future of our town. And that's reflected in both our comments and his scores. And at this point, I'll leave it at that, but I certainly invite other select board members to make a brief comment. But again, For those of you online, Mary Lynn, it's in the packet. I can email you this, and our comments and all the information is there. But again, I want to express my appreciation on behalf of the select board to Ryan for the work you continue to do in your role. The amount we're accomplishing with your leadership and support is unprecedented in my time in town.
Yeah. And you can see it actually in the discussion we had about our goals.
Yeah.
We're doing
There
it.
were a lot of big hefty ones that we made progress or
Yep.
even completed, right?
Well, on the shift, I would say also, it's conscious on our part, but we needed Ryan to be on the other end to get us out of the tactical day-to-day management and be able to
Yeah.
set up a much, higher or more strategic set of things to do. So thank you.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is a tremendous town to work in. If anyone hasn't served as a town administrator, I recommend you do. It's rewarding work, especially here. The volunteers, you especially, put trust in me, have candid conversations with me, and push me, so I appreciate that. The volunteer boards and committees here are I don't think they're rivaled, at least in the region, in terms of their involvement. And although, like, the discussions can get here and there, just the passion is why the staff likes to come to work. Any scores that I have here are directly attributable to my staff. If I'm anything, it's a coordinator of very talented people who bring these things to life and who are excited to do it. So I appreciate everything they do, and I believe that these kind words you've written here are really a reflection on the staff.
But it takes, a good
leader.
leader.
It's a leader.
Yeah, to assemble that staff.
Right, to pull that all
Assemble and
together.
motivate.
No, it's the staff.
Ryan. So,
Did you,
yes. I sent it to you thinking maybe.
do you
could-
want to do this now? Like
Yeah,
tonight? Okay.
if we're done with the select board part of the evaluation.
I think we are, and again, if there's any, questions or comments, please contact me about what's in this report. We also, for the first time, well, I'll let you do this
Okay.
portion, Barney.
So for the first time, we decided to try via a questionnaire to the staff to get input from the town hall staff for the town administrator's annual evaluation. And so I developed a 3-question questionnaire and worked with Aubrey on just the wording of those questions, and then she arranged to send that out under my name. We included all staff except those that are members of unions, and we also left off any Carlisle Public Schools staff. And so the respondents' questionnaire was confidential. The responses just came back to me, didn't go through Aubrey, and my introductory memo to all the staff said that they won't be shared with anybody, including the TA or the HR director. I checked with council about this, and we will maintain them as documents for the town, but they are not subject to public records requests or anything else like that. It'll go into the just archive for the town documents.
And none of the select board members have seen anything other than what you're presenting tonight.
Right. And so I'm the one that prepared this summary totally on my own. No one else has seen it until now. But the 3 questions were, how would you describe your interaction with the town administrator and his effectiveness as a manager? And just step back for a second. I think this was a really interesting thing to do because you get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look that in many cases is very similar to the kinds of things that we noticed or commented on, but there's some differences too. But on this first question, the staff responses were overwhelmingly positive and complimentary. Many noted Ryan's skills as a communicator, teacher, mentor, and listener, and appreciated his support for individual professional growth and the implementation of staff training. Several people described challenging or stressful situations that they were in their role as town hall staff. And Ryan's ability to really help them navigate that challenge and also to deal with the stress they were feeling. Several people commented on the efforts to professionalize the staff and his encouragement to staff to innovate and improve department functions. One person said it resulted in, quote, enhanced operational efficiencies.
How corporate.
Yeah, unquote, and improved resident services. Several people commented on the increased social opportunities for staff to get together and Ryan's evident caring for his staff. One person liked the public recognition of staff and thought that people appreciated that the town administrator recognized their hard work. Another person felt that it was inappropriate. It was not good management because it tended to lead to bad feelings and a competitive staff environment. I have 3 quotes under that section I'd just like to share. One is, it has always been done this way. Sorry, I should start again. Quote, it has always been done this way, unquote, is a phrase seldomly used in town hall, and I credit that to the TA's leadership style. Next comment, of the 4 town administrators for whom I've worked, Ryan is the most effective I've ever worked for. And the last one is, the way he treats others has resulted in a friendly, positive atmosphere at town hall, and he's respected by the employees. The second question was, what concerns, if any, do you have about his staff leadership? And what suggestions do you have for how to address them? And so this is where you kind of see the other side of things. So one person said, while he appreciates the TA's efforts to professionalize the human resources and personnel functions, including better management and training, quote, Ryan sometimes moves too quickly for departments to react, unquote. Another staff person was unhappy with the lack of consultation by the TA about office changes and space utilization. And one described, I'm just laying it out here because there's, mostly all positives, but a couple of people were critical. One person described a, quote, toxic work environment, unquote, and noted the high number of staff turnovers, terminations, and resignations under this TA. Several staff noted their concern that Ryan will burn out. He is, quote, available almost 24/7, unquote. One mentioned they were initially intimidated by the TA's manner, quote, until I got to know him, unquote. 2 mentioned that the town should have more equitable, fair salaries across departments, and several were concerned that we are not preparing for his successor, thinking that he'll be snapped up by somebody, yeah. A few quotes. Sometimes my comments are misinterpreted or overanalyzed, and now I have a better understanding of how Ryan processes information. And another one was, I see him doing his utmost to make time to meet with staff one-on-one, to be available to all staff when they want or need him. But he also has a lot to do, and I don't know how that can fit in his schedule. And finally, the last question was, what other feedback would you like to share about the TA's performance? There were a lot fewer comments in this one, and all positive. The quotes here were, quote, it is unusual to find a town administrator as competent as he is, who is dedicated to helping departments and the town rather than exercising control and pursuing their own agenda. And the other quote is, Ryan is very focused on the overall well-being and growth of the community while maintaining a fair focus on long-term sustainability. And that is the end.
Thank you, Barney. Thank you for,
And we'll have to decide, maybe down the road, whether this is something we want to continue or whether there's a different way to do this, but.
and this was not in the packet, correct?
Correct.
So,
No. So,
we can certainly, we will
We can
certainly add it
attach
to
it to the minutes.
the minutes,
Mhm.
and it's certainly a public document now, so we
Yeah.
can make it available. And I would just add the commentary that some of the critical comments, I think, are just the natural impact of change. And we're,
Yeah.
you know, Ryan's actively been working to, with us and with everyone to provide more accountability in town hall,
Right.
become more resident service focused in town hall. And I think, you know, in doing that, you're quite often, some people aren't going to be happy with that change. And so, in a way, I think that's a sign that real change is happening. And certainly we want to carefully consider all the feedback, but that is something we expected.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Barney. I think if there's nothing else, we can move on.
I would
Or
just-
do you want to react to that?
Yeah,
Or-
because that was a lot. Overwhelmed by positive comments from people that I respect. So that, you don't know sometimes, so it's nice
Right,
to hear.
right.
In terms of anybody in the town of Carlisle who works for the town that feels they're being treated unfairly or having a bad day or they think anything can improve, then all of those things should be expressed and sent to people who have the ability to do something about it. So if that's not me, and I understand why it wouldn't be given my position of authority, then I hope that they would reach out to an elected official, an HR director, or some external entity so that situation can change, because nobody deserves to work in an environment where they feel uncomfortable or unsupported. And so I hope anyone who feels that way would reach out or find a way to remedy it. And if I could, I would.
Do you have an ombudsman?
We have an HR director.
She functions as that?
Yes. So she does operate independently in that role. However, we're acutely aware that she's also the assistant town administrator and part of the executive office. So we're trying to work on ways to create avenues that would even be around that. But in any hierarchy, there is some end to the person that you can go to. So we want to make sure that those avenues exist. It's hard with public records and open meeting law to have confidential things. So you know, that was a great way around all of that, or a great effort. And I'm going to think about just ways to do that. I wouldn't want to do that or not have any place to go. So I hope everybody feels like they do.
Yeah, and maybe I was gonna send this out to all the staff, and maybe I should include a note from me that just says, the importance of, that we had this discussion and you made it clear the importance of,
I would, run that through Aubrey before.
Okay.
you do
Yeah.
okay.
that.
But
I
just
don't
I-
think
I
we're a little bit out of our swim lane to be going direct to staff with communications. It's nice that half the people did respond. I assume the other half maybe felt they didn't trust the confidentiality of the process.
Well, I think it's probably more likely, at least
Busy.
looking at the list of who
Christmas time,
didn't
yeah.
respond. Yeah, because we sent it out before Christmas, but then I had Aubrey send a reminder under my name about 10 days ago, and got another group of responses. And looking at the people that didn't respond, it's
Why.
a random, I'm guessing overlooked or just didn't feel
Yeah.
the need to, or.
But, half
maybe-
is pretty good. I mean, you
Yeah.
got a good set of data points, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's interesting. You did the 360, which is hard to do. I've looked at 360s in my own, organization, and I've always come away saying, it ain't worth it. It opens up too many things. But I think you did it well, and so, yeah, it's a piece of data, but I definitely, obviously, you were very careful not to reveal who said what, but the broad outcome and how that might get communicated back, I think Aubrey would be a good
Okay.
sounding board.
And did Aubrey look at this?
She did, but I finished this very late this afternoon,
yeah.
and so.
Yeah, coordinate with Aubrey and see what the best way is. And the last thing, just to clarify if it's a question, is we received this tonight, so this input was not part of our process intentionally. Our evaluation as a select board was based on our experience and not any staff feedback.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, let's go.
Great.
You're behind. Let's go.
thank you very much. Well, it took more than 30 seconds. All right, on to annual town meeting. So we want to confirm the time and date for town meeting. We had designated May 17th to 19th, talking about that Sunday through Tuesday as a range. And so we're looking to narrow that down to a specific time and date.
Right now, we have it that it's gonna be Monday, May 18th, based on your conversations. Traditionally, you would start that at 7, but you'd mentioned some other start times, and then the idea that it would be 1 or 2 days. I know that there's always the possibility that it's 2, but are you targeting a splitting of days, or is it 1 day, and if we can't get it done, a second day?
I said no, based on what do we have? We don't know what we have, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be 2 days. Depends.
You
so-
do? Hmm.
Well, okay, so if we start, so one question is, can we start at 6,
Is this a Monday night or?
Monday night?
18th.
I think.
Or
that-
7 is good?
Yes, no, 6, we should
We
try
said
for 6.
six.
I think 7, I've said it before, 7's sort of an artifact of the commuter
Yeah.
world, which is less
Mhm.
important now.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
And a lot of the first hour, quite honestly, is like,
Wayne got the memo for the last time, and he was much more.
no, but it's, I don't mean that. It's still, there's still a lot of procedural stuff at the beginning.
There is procedural stuff, but again, improvements that we've recommended that we did enact. Once you hit quorum,
Putting
you
more of
start.
the meaty stuff up earlier, if you recall. We did
Yeah,
some
yeah,
of
okay,
the-
yep,
But
Yeah.
once we hit quorum, we start.
yep.
Ashley also learned that you need more stations, check-in stations to make
Yep.
sure
Mhm.
that goes fast.
That
So
worked well.
I think, trimming at the edges and getting started quickly is huge, because that, ideally, if you can get 4 hours of meeting time, you should be able to get everything done.
Mm.
So I mean, I don't know without knowing what's
Yeah.
on the warrant, but
So
I
you'd
would
say
always
6.
try for, 6
6 o'clock.
o'clock start and try to get it done, would be my recommendation, off the cuff
Yeah,
recommendation.
no, I mean, that tracks with what I was thinking. And whether, I mean, we can plan on one night. I tend to think by hour 3, if you're not really at the tail end of it, it's like time to call it. But,
Depends, some people,
If you're
we
close-
go through and then Wayne says, what do you wanna do? And most people are like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
And half the people leave anyway.
but again, if you start at 6 and that means you're at 10 o'clock versus 11 o'clock, I think it's a lot
Yeah.
easier.
I continue to feel that there are, more aggressive use of consent agenda and just
Mhm.
Yeah,
really identifying the important, we're gonna have a couple building, 1 or 0 to 2 building
Yeah,
projects to
yep, yep.
discuss. Until we see it, I can't really say, but, I mean,
right.
you can reserve both days, right? Is there any Savoyards or other things going on then that's gonna create a
We
problem?
reserved both days.
What?
We reserved all 3 days, so,
All 3 days?
in case you wanted to do Sunday, but
Okay,
No.
but it sounds like it's a Monday and a Tuesday is a relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And start at 6?
Again, I can ask our committee next
Yeah.
week, but. that
do
would
it.
be my-
Let's
6
do it.
o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
All right, 6 o'clock.
Do we need a motion?
no.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. I like that one. Item 9, Town Administrator Report.
Wow.
Or we could do a warrant, if you want a minute, we can do the
Good.
warrants and minutes.
I am good. This is my town administrator report for, it is not January 8th, it's January 13th. I knew that was gonna be a problem, and I will fix it. I had a coffee hour today. First time in a while, I only had one guest, but it was an important conversation, and I was able to give coffee to the staff. So maybe they didn't know that it was because it was a TA coffee hour, and they
They
thought
do.
I was being nice. I'm likely to go to the library next with their permission, and I'm considering holding a publicly announced coffee hour at the DPW to start bringing people to
That's a
that.
good idea.
That's great.
I don't know where. We'll do it in the trailer, maybe, but
Use their coffee machine.
I'm gonna
too.
find the worst spot so that
Yeah,
Rainy
Send that
day on
message.
in the bays.
yeah.
The water's coming in. Bring your boots, 6 inches of water.
with town meeting season and budget season coming up, I encourage people to sign up for our newsletters, email alerts, and podcasts to stay informed. We do a podcast on every warrant article and cover all of this stuff extensively for people to digest, hopefully while they're exercising or driving or doing whatever they need, so it's easy. For our HR report, we had some appointments earlier, mainly Richard Anise, our interim building commissioner. We appreciate him serving for a little bit while we find our permanent hire. Aubrey's report also includes a lot of information from Chief Soros about the fire department. Some of it we'll get into, but we had a promotion of David Newman to captain and EMS coordinator, Lloyd Burke to first lieutenant, couple new hires, and a lot of our staff is now working on their advanced EMT, which is going to help our service delivery and even our revenue, hopefully. The Council on Aging is still looking for a part-time van driver, if you know anybody. And we've also started our review process, so tonight you heard mine, that officially kicks off the review season. All of our department heads and employees have completed their initial evaluations, their self-evaluations that have come to me. We'll schedule one-on-ones with all those employees to discuss their goals, their performance, and their professional development plans. That should take about a month, so in mid to late February, we will report that has been completed. For department updates and information, the annual report for 2025 has begun. This is the report process for all departments and town activities. We are working on streamlining this, making more ADA accessible, and with any luck, we are going to try to put this in for an award, given Gretchen's level of work. So the awards are based off of not only aesthetics, but accessibility and the ease of information finding and use. If you want to see our town reports, they're on the town website, and we have all of them back to the 1800s. They're a great read. Route to Sustainability Day has been set by the ESC. That'll be Sunday, May 3rd at 1 p.m., and you have all been formally invited. The Council on Aging and Human Services and our other resident services departments, mainly the library and the recreation department, received a grant from the Mass Broadband Institute. It's connected and online program. This is going to provide 30 internet-enabled devices and assistive technology and remote health monitoring to the equipment to the town for no cost. Some budget updates. The Finance Committee will begin its marathon meetings tomorrow. I'm just sleeping here for a week or so. It's going to be fun. We're going to do our long meetings, and they're actually very informative. I'm bringing some staff members so that they can see it and see some of the other departments' requests for professional development. They will provide a recommendation to you based on the conversation with the departments about service levels and cost. This will inform your February, March, and April deliberations with the Finance Committee. We're also working with Chief Amendola and Chief Soros, finalizing new employment contracts. We've extended offers to continue their service here in Carlisle. Those will come to you for a final vote and will be part of the FY27 budget. For capital project updates, our elevator project, we had a pre-construction meeting with our design firm, the facilities department, and the contractor. This will begin in the spring with submittals, and it has already started in advanced planning. Barring any scheduled changes, the first elevator will be the CPS elevator in the Grant building. That will start the day that school ends and will be completed before school starts to maximize that time period. If they can do town hall and the library simultaneously, they will, or they'll follow each other back to back. The reason for starting that late, not only for the school, is also the schedule of the contractor and the availability of all of the equipment, which is a lot of lead time for a lot of elevator equipment. Town hall bathroom renovation and mechanical room expansion. We do expect the restroom renovation project to begin in the next month or so. The mechanical room expansion has been brought in-house. If you remember, the costs were prohibitive, so the MFC authorized facilities department to do it on overtime and using some of our own skills. So that'll happen in the spring when they can fit it in. Cemetery mapping. We are continuing to be fascinated by the cemetery's history and where everything is. Gretchen and Jim are spearheading this effort with your cemetery committee. Special props to Gordon for his investment in this. The mapping has slowed, but most of the cemetery has been mapped at this point with drones and maps and all kinds of other interesting things. Cool. For CPA projects, the Diamond Park study, the subcommittee finalized their contract with Lula Designers to assist the committee with the redesign. This will result in some type of design and cost estimate that will come, I believe, to you next year for the actual rehabilitation work. This is under the authority of the Recreation Commission. Cranberry Bog Dam number 1. Much like me, Megan didn't know there was a cranberry bog when she took on the conservation role and how much she was going to learn about Cranberry Bog Dam number 1. But we've been working on it. The ground penetrating radar and emergency repair investigation is now complete. That's going to go to the Conservation Commission for final approval, and that'll start as soon as the weather allows it. So that's shoring up the dam. Then we are putting out in our IFB for an invitation for bid for the phase 1 repair work that includes everything but the famous spillway. And then the hydrologic studies are almost complete. That information will go to the Conservation Commission and form phase 2. So we believe that the Cranberry Bog Dam #1 repair will take up most of next year and the following spring, but it'll be completed. Megan told me today with the hydrologic studies that those are going into the final phase. They're taking data from some of our volunteers in town, including that in the report, and they'll give final recommendations on the amount of flow allowed at Greeno, and of course the final phase 2 design of the Cranberry Bog Dam. For building construction projects, you got a little bit of an update today on the library renovation, so I won't spend too much time on this, but the committee is awaiting a decision from the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board for a variance on the historical emergency exit staircase. Once that's complete, design will finish, there'll be a cost estimation, and then the project will head into a financial discussion about whether there's enough funding or not, and how we can make up that difference heading into an annual town meeting vote. The police station renovation is on budget. The only contingency spend so far related to the dirty dirt. All the dirt has been removed. We worked through solutions with the OPM. The OPM did a great job working with our ACOM, our advisors, on this environmental hazard, on how to deal with the very low water table. So they put they dug out a hole, and it immediately filled with water in the back where the garage is going to go. So they redid the design on it to make it a shallow foundation, still structurally sound, still allowed by permitting, but that will go less into the ground, so they don't have to dig up as much dirt and disperse as much water. But there's still going to be water displacement, so we worked on how to do that and fit it in within our budget and contingency. So we're continuing to work on this project. Your building committee is all over it. They're receiving their monthly report, and then we are also meeting with the chair of that committee, and I are meeting every week with the OPM in order to monitor this project. So we feel very good about where it's at, where we are budget-wise, and we'll let you know if there's anything to be concerned about. Your newly appointed Fire Station Renovation Building Committee met for the first time last week, and they met today. They reviewed the newest versions of the design to get up to speed. Some of the members are meeting individually with the architect to make sure that they're also up to speed. They have been told to maintain your project goals and your project's financial targets while also advancing this work. The main holdup right now could be the Conservation Commission. They need to properly delineate the wetlands. It's winter. There's usually a moratorium on that, so they're working on a variance to make sure that that's done. That could be a showstopper because without the wetland delineation, the design can't finish by April.
Oh, jeez.
There's a moratorium.
That's why you want one on DPW committee.
Yeah.
That I will tell you that everybody's working as fast as possible, but it is a super compressed timeline. So I'm confident if your committee tells you that this can't be done, that it literally couldn't be done. And I told them
that's a gate that, you can't mess that up. You get in way worse.
Yeah.
You're way worse shape if you shortcut that and you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
redo it later. So, if it rolls back to the question of 1 or 2 day town meeting, if these building projects roll to the fall, so what? Right.
It's a goal, and it's an aggressive goal, and
Right,
we're
but
not
I
going
mean,
to
the
cut
point
corners to
is-
get there.
The point is,
Yeah.
we shouldn't hurry up and wait, and we absolutely shouldn't shortcut a critical step that
no,
might
of
course
bite
not.
us back.
Right.
And I'm sure Travis as well.
yeah, we're going to wave the
Newly
flag.
appointed committee member
That's
will.
why I said
DPW.
you should need someone on Conscom on
Yeah.
that committee. That's
Right.
what- That would help that
Well, actually,
process.
are you on the fire station?
No, he's
too?
DPW.
No,
Oh,
DPW.
who's the fire station rep from the?
Jerry,
Jerry, okay. Okay.
from the
All right.
MFC.
Yeah, right.
Some discussion topics. You're all having your personnel policies meeting with Aubrey, and eventually we'll need to approve those. We have scheduled your legislative delegation to come and speak with you, and one of them will be at your next meeting. That's when Simon's coming. I should say Representative Cataldo. Representative Cataldo is coming to your meeting, at your next meeting, and then Senator Barrett's coming in March, in person. So we're gonna prepare that for you, and if you have anything specific you wanna talk about, it would be good to send it to us ahead of time so that we can allow them time to prepare and have an answer. Budget and town meeting is gonna dominate your spring, as you know, and we haven't stopped working on the cell tower RFP. Town council has finished a final draft. We're gonna send that to the consultant that's looking to bid. make sure that it all makes sense, and then we'll bring it to you for approval, and that'll have to go to town meeting for lease approval. But that could move pretty quick, assuming there's no other hiccups. We have a slew of signs in the Rotary, as you know. We're diligent. If those are approved, allow them. If they're not, we take them out and we talk to them about the process. So all of them.
Who actually places those and retrieves them?
The entities that
Okay.
do it. And some people, I don't think it's that nefarious. They just think that everybody puts things there. So we usually take them out, find out who did it, and educate them on the process. Signs are a lot. Gretchen manages that, and it's a lot. Some staff recognition. Speaking of Gretchen, in addition to her regular duties, she has expanded her professional portfolio by managing procurement projects and pursuing grant opportunities. Most recently, her efforts resulted in us being awarded an accessibility improvement grant. This is a competitive program administered by the Massachusetts Office of Disability. If you remember in my goals from last year, we talked about doing a ADA assessment of the town. This will add any liabilities or things that we need to add to our capital plan, things that are unknown. She was able to secure this grant, which will allow us to do an evaluation with a consultant that she's procuring right now. So two things to mention here with Gretchen. First, she did that independently, sought the grant parameters, wrote it, and got it. And she also then procured who was going to be doing it for us with her new procurement skills. So this is an advanced executive assistant who is destined for more, speaking of succession planning and figuring out how to keep people. Captain Robert Koenig, as reported by Aubrey in the fire department, he served the town of Carlisle for more than 40 years as a call firefighter. So 4 decades of service is an extraordinary commitment in any field, but it is especially meaningful in a profession that routinely places individuals in harm's way for the safety of others. So 40 years as a call firefighter in this town is just tremendous service. His dedication represents the very best of this type of service, consistent, community-focused. It's also the long-term commitment that keeps us safe and allows us to maintain financially this call fire department that helps every resident in town, not just with safety, but with finances. So thank you to Captain Koenig for his service. I think he's going to stick around and help us with some equipment and other things, because no one ever actually leaves the service of Carlisle. And then Captain David Newman, he's newly promoted to captain. He's a fire department member with many talents, including his work as an EMS coordinator. He's invested hundreds of hours of his personal time to improve the department. It's a great example of how towns like Carlisle are able to field members in departments like this. He also works closely with many municipal departments, offering training to staff and insight on how we can better serve our town's vulnerable populations. He never misses an at-risk meeting or the ability to contribute to the rest of the staff in terms of finding those residents who are vulnerable and who have needs. So thank you to Captain Newman. Have a couple meetings for you. You have just a basic meeting schedule so far, which is nice.
We do have a meeting on the 27th.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I noticed that
Yep.
missing.
Oh, rather than the 24th, yeah.
No,
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 the 24th is something else. But
we
there
do
is-
have a regular meeting
There's a
on,
regular meeting stuck in there.
yep, January 27th.
Also, you're aware of
Oh, that's the one missing, yeah.
you're aware of a dog nuisance hearing request.
Yep.
I haven't stopped working on this for the last month to 6 weeks. I do think that there's still a chance that mediation is possible, but it doesn't seem likely that it's going to be successful. So these are 2 neighbors that disagree on what's going on, which is the point of a dog hearing. So I do need to schedule that with the board. Typically, you want to do this as a standalone meeting, and I do think there'll be a lot of testimony and information you'll receive at this meeting. But we would like to get it done soon so that the complainant thinks that we're doing our due diligence, so probably late January, early February at the latest.
Yeah, we'll schedule that. After your TA report, there's a couple of things I have from the scheduling standpoint.
And there's some attachments in my report, but unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. To that point, let me just jump ahead to a couple of dates coming up. One, Carlisle Public School, there's a tour for new school committee members that they're inviting FinCom and the Select Board to. That's going to be held on January 21st at 9:30 a.m. It's going to run approximately 90 minutes, and we're certainly welcome to attend. If people plan on attending, please let me know so we can determine if we're going to have a quorum, and we'll post it as a meeting. This is similar to the,
I do not plan to.
this is similar to the, if you went on the previous tour last year,
Yeah.
it's similar in concept, but if you know today, let me know if you plan on attending or not. The key is we want to make sure we post it if we have at
Yeah.
least 3 of us there.
Did you say 9:30 or
9:30,
9:30, okay,
January 21st,
yeah.
9:30 to 11. Second potential date, so Ryan and I met with Chief Amendola as part of his contract negotiations. We'd like to schedule another executive session to discuss that with you. Either, the options are either Friday morning or the week after next. So we wanted to see if folks were available this Friday morning, January 16th. I'd say 8 or 9. If you're not, it's not critical we meet on that date. If not, we'll schedule it for the week after next, given Ryan's schedule next week.
We can't at this point, because I would have to get the agenda posted by 8 tomorrow morning.
Oh.
No, Wednesday.
Today's Tuesday,
Today's
No, he's-
Tuesday.
Tomorrow,
He's right, Wednesday.
Wednesday at 8 AM
Friday,
for
yeah.
Friday at 8 AM.
right.
So it would have to be later. in the
Okay,
week.
we could do it at,
48 hours.
No, it won't be 48.
because they won't post it at 8. So we could have a meeting at 9 theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Or
want to
the-
do 9?
Or,
Well,
I can't make
I mean, I
Friday
could do
morning,
nine. I could
yeah.
do nine.
It's how long? It's a half hour?
30 minutes.
yeah.
Well,
Can you get the thing posted first thing in the morning?
9:30 would help.
9:30 is okay. I'm supposed to meet
It has to go through Ashley.
Aubrey at 10, so yeah, I can do that.
I'm getting on a plane at 11 AM and,
Mm.
Okay, so
I
the
think we
answer's
should-
no. So then you're out on the
Get there.
week of the 26th.
but you know,
Yeah.
4 of the 5, I mean, if everybody else can make that,
I can make that time.
Can we have a conversation, like, are we allowed to, can you have a conversation with Barney, or no?
yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't,
Would you,
I can make 9:30.
why don't we plan on 9:30
9:30 on this Friday.
this Friday,
The 16th.
All right,
the 16th?
I'll put it in.
And if your flight's delayed, you can call in.
yeah. Do you do call-ins for executive session?
You can do.
You can.
Can?
Are
Well,
we-
I
Would
will-
this,
You have to bring your red phone with you, Bob.
I can't do it in person on Friday. I'm gonna be out of state. So I would
Oh, are
need
you allowed to do out of state? I guess you are.
to Zoom in. We've done executive sessions on
Well, I
Zoom.
could Zoom in, yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
we
not
have
departing
Yeah.
till,
Typically.
I was assuming this would be a Zoom or a call.
so I could join via Zoom if that's,
If you just send out
Allowed.
the invite, the calendar invite.
We'll do a hybrid. I'll be remote.
I'll come in
think
because I'm
everyone-
supposed to meet Aubrey at 10, so I'd probably come in.
Okay.
So I'm already here,
Okay.
but whatever. Either way, I can support it.
We'll do a hybrid. So you
Okay.
have the option.
Great.
So we'll get that posted. Thank you. Dog hearing, we do need to schedule that.
Haven't lived till you've had a dog hearing.
And, you know, I don't know, I'm a little, normally I'd say maybe we could meet before our select board meeting on the 27th, but I'm not sure this one's gonna get done in an hour.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a,
But Ryan said he's trying to work the issues still.
well, Ryan has been
He
trying to
said
work
he's
the issue, and
unlikely.
I'm not optimistic.
yeah.
Would anyone have availability on Monday or Wednesday of that week?
Of which
What
week
week?
again?
I'm sorry,
26th,
26th or the 28th?
28th?
6 or 28.
Uh,
Yep.
26th I can do, 28th I can't do.
I'm the opposite. I have a commitment.
What,
You're
I'm
talking
sorry,
about
what time? Yeah,
I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock?
Yeah, I have a commitment.
I could support Monday.
Oh, in the evenings, you're saying now?
This
Yeah.
would be probably an evening, given the,
I can do,
We have a select board meeting on the,
27th. We
27th.
could try to do it before then. I just don't know if an
No,
hour is
I
gonna
don't-
be sufficient.
yeah. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
I can do Wednesday or Monday, yeah.
I can do either one.
I'd rather do Monday. if I
Okay.
could.
Early February is also.
What about the following
It's
week?
okay, it's
Yeah.
okay.
You don't wanna, you don't,
I like it, I mean, it's part
You're
of
like the one
our
guy
job.
who likes it.
It's part of our job, you know?
Yep.
But I
Is the
can't-
next week
Wait,
better,
because
or
which-
we're-
it's-
Wait,
I don't care.
you
Same
said,
for me.
I'm
Travis,
sorry,
you can't
those
make
2
Mon,
days.
oh,
Yeah,
neither
Monday-
one you
Monday
can
or
do.
Wednesday, I have-
Okay.
I have conflicts, but I've.
Cannot do
all-
either Monday or
I
Wednesday.
cannot do it, but I have the February 2nd through 6th there. I'm
That's fine.
fairly open.
Well, we don't have a meeting the following week, so we could
Maybe
do
that's easier. Do it on the
Tuesday on
Tuesday
the
night.
3rd.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that
3rd.
sounds good.
at, say, 7, or does 7 work well for people, that slot?
Yeah.
Sure.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Let's do it on Tuesday, February 3rd at 7 PM. Bring,
Okay.
send out the
You
word.
think it's
right.
an hour, or you think it's longer?
I think it may be longer.
Wow.
7 p.m.
All right.
Okay.
Hard to predict.
Yeah.
That's an in-person.
That's an in-person only.
There's no Zoom in for people wanting to see it.
I
Oh,
pref-
well, people in town could zoom in, but
I'm here, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if.
I'm supposed to have surgery the last week of January, and if that happens, then I probably can't participate in person.
I think you can zoom in on a dog
we
hearing.
you can.
Yeah,
I
it's just,
okay.
it's a little trickier, but,
I'd like to
'Cause some of the-
key people to be here in person.
yeah,
but
some of the abutters may want to do it via
Well, let's
Zoom.
schedule
We've
it.
had that
Let's
happen in the past.
schedule it for a hybrid.
I mean, you're safer to schedule for hybrid. I don't know
Yeah.
yet, because I don't have a confirmation date, and maybe I can hobble in, but I don't know what the doctor will tell me I can.
Ryan, do you think hybrid is
L4,
okay?
L5,
for this?
S1.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I think we
I know
want.
that's pretty painful.
There could be a number of participants, so.
What is
I
that?
hope everyone's here in person, but I just was wondering if
Disc
people
fusion.
wanted, not members.
Yeah.
But but I guess if David wants to be on, that's great.
No, and this would allow the public to
Yeah.
Yeah,
observe, because I think in this one, there's a lot of interested parties that may not come
yeah.
in person, but would probably watch the proceedings.
All right.
So,
I think that
exciting.
too.
All right, so you got that one, Ryan?
February 3rd, 7 PM.
Okay,
And we'll get a little rundown on the specifics
yeah.
before then. Okay.
Okay. All right, that's it for me with dates. Let's move on to warrants and minutes.
Okay.
We have a December 16th minutes.
I move to approve December 16th minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or deliberation?
Good job.
Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's move on to cemetery deeds. So there's deed transfer requests. There's 3 of them.
Okay.
Barney, do you want to read the motion?
Absolutely. I move to transfer land in the public burial ground at the Green Cemetery as described below. Can I do all 3 at once?
Yeah, you can read all 3.
I think I can, right? Deed 863, Lot C, 55A, Grave 1, to Scott Evans of 199 Heald Road. Deed 864, Lot D, 165, Graves 1, 2, 3, and 4, to William Ho of Acton, formerly of 54 Knoll Farm Road, and deed 865, Lot D, 329, Grave 3, to Lynn Zhu, XU, of 136 Wolf Rock Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I will pass these around for signature. And we will move on to liaison reports. Does anyone have anything they want to share from their committees? There's going to be some, at our next meeting, we'll be discussing some of the issues and questions around like the LSC. I'll be meeting with, hopefully have an update from the school committee and obviously FinCom and all of that. So there'll be a lot at the next meeting. Anything else? Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Lastly, I'll ask for community input. We'll start with the room. Okay, seeing none. Anyone online have any community input?
Mary Lynn?
You're the last.
Geez, no
I'm
Christina.
good, thank you.
Okay, thank you for attending. Okay, so seeing none, we'll move on to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you,
Right
everyone.
on time.
Thank you
Fantastic.
all.
Close the gap. 2
Well
minutes.
done.